the best part of the trip. This is the trip, the best part.
Hey, we didn't think we'd be here 60 years ago when John Christopher Depp II was spawned in Owensboro, Kentucky. Can you believe that, Sarah? He's 60 now.
Birthed from the lovely Betty Sue.
I told you
we
that.
Heard.
I told you
What a
that.
gem she was.
In a holler in fucking Kentucky, in the hills of the Appalachians, man. That's what's a holler, by the way.
It's been a while. Somebody's gonna have to.
I bet you
remind me.
Kathy Scott knows what a holler is. I bet half the prison population is from a holler in Tennessee.
I'm a northerner now.
I assume it's like a southern slum, maybe, or mountain people, or I've heard. Oh God, didn't you tell me it's from a Tammy Wynette song?
I don't know. I don't know Tammy Wynette
or something.
songs.
I'm from a holler of.
I don't know.
Oh God, it was definitely you that said that.
No, it wasn't.
You love country music.
No.
I'm telling you, it's a. I want to say it's Tammy Wynette.
A shack with a dirt floor. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. And that's where Betty Sue Palmer Depp is from. Welcome. Thank you, A. Smith. Welcome,
always.
Bab. As always, welcome. I got a special thank you to Kathy for her. One of the things we're going to start with. Babs DeRush, MIO. Welcome. Hello to you, Lauren Marie, as well. I'm just skimming through here really quick. I saw Hooper up there. Welcome, sir. Rick the electrician with a very nice post here. I've been looking forward to this all day. It feels like the winter of 1979 when the time just changed and Happy Days incoming on less than that was appointment TV when Happy Days was on.
I'm too young.
Let me see. When would you have? Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have really caught the.
No, it was a little over my age range. Happy Days. I did have a crush on Fonzie.
Can you? I had a crush on a Pat Morita. Did you?
I think you liked Al.
Did you know? Well, I told you that's the 90210, right? It's basically Happy Days meets 21 Jump Street, right? Al's is the Peach Pit. Al is Nat. Fonzie is Dylan. Brandon is Richie. Joni is Shannon. By the way, Shannon Doherty just had another brain scare. Apparently it's gotten into her. The cancer is re-inhabited her brain. That's horrible news. She's Godspeed Brenda Walsh, because
no,
if anybody can beat it, you can.
You said it wrong. It's Brenda Wash. That's how she would pronounce it.
She doesn't pronounce the L?
No, she has a slight speech impediment. Or she did then anyway. So she would say, "I'm Brenda Wash."
Okay. Did you read up on the new diagnosis?
No, I just saw the headline.
Apparently, it's infiltrated her brain again.
Well, yes, that's what that's the headline.
But it was. I think it had gone into remission, and then
I don't know. I don't think it went into remission. I think she's been stage 4 for a while.
So Steve Sanders is Ralph Mouth. And Brian Austin Silver is is Potsy, and the Cunninghams are the Walshes. I mean, it's just endless. Perfect. And then obviously the Jump Street comparison. So Brandon's a cross between Tom Hansen and Richie Cunningham, and it's all the same people that work on the show. And you too, Hooper. Thank you, sir. I had something to say to Hooper, and I don't know what it was. It was an observation. It was certainly a sports observation, and I just can't remember what it was. I was sitting on it last week, and it might come back to me. Luke Perry grabbed Howard's ass. Yes, he did at the MTV Awards, and then they got friggin' Stamos to replace him in the movie. What was the reason Perry didn't do it, Sarah?
I don't know. You do the show on him. You would know.
I do the show on him.
You
On
do the
Luke
show on that
Perry?
Clayton.
No, I'm talking about Luke Perry. Aren't you like a Luke Perry expert? What was the reason Luke
No,
Perry
I'm
bailed
not.
on the Private Parts reenactment?
I don't remember.
But of course, Stamos. Autobot, welcome, sir. Autobot's he's from Washington, right?
I think so.
I think he's from that. We never. I want him so bad to sit in on the Benny and June. Actually, I have an interview about Benny and June today because it's Depp talking about his 30th birthday, and Benny and June was shot in Spokane, Washington,
You said it
and
right.
I found a video about the making of Benny and June at the local Spokane News, and they talked about how the production took over this cul-de-sac, and it was like they'd all these keep out signs and stuff, and the people were like, we were not going to bother them. I don't know what nobody cares. And they were just like, that's one state where they are legitimately too cool for school, and you don't want to make them. That's the birth. Is there anything cooler than the birth of grunge, right? Or that whole scene.
I would agree with you. Yes, it sparked quite the revolution in my neck of the woods.
Kylo Sierra Alpha, welcome. Spokane is it really the meth capital, Sarah? Of
Yeah, I've heard that.
Jesus. Did Kurt
Do you have a fan on?
Yeah, I just turned it down. It was I can't you ever see like the settings on a fan? Either it's too low or too high, and there's the middle you can't find. So there's like a soft on 2, and then 3 is way too high.
Well,
And
unfortunately, with what we're doing right now, you can't have a fan blow directly on you.
no, I know. Well, there's a way to hit yourself where it's not hitting the microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real art form to that. Lauren Marie, welcome. Laura says, I'm going to Sweeney Todd on Broadway this weekend. Didn't know it, but it's just in time for Depp's birthday, I guess. Oh, I wonder if they'll acknowledge it during the production, like right in the middle of it, sing happy birthday to him.
I doubt it.
I don't think that. Do you think? I don't know. Let me see. I can't say that because the play is so huge before the movie ever came out. But I wonder if there's a reinvigorated interest in the play because of the movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
And him. I wonder. The play is a huge Broadway staple, which I embarrassingly didn't realize until the movie came out. And David educated us on Stephen Sondheim.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder who's in it, Lauren. Who was it? I thought the cast was fairly famous last I saw, but they rotated all the time. I don't know if you got one of the playbills with the cast on it. I don't know. Usually there's usually this one famous person in every Broadway play. They need to bring you in there somehow. They need the names. Probably more than movies do. I feel like the plays need names more than the movies do. Josh Groban, thank you, Laura. You know that guy?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like didn't he date Rose McGowan? Or
Again, I don't know. You're lobbing me with stuff I have no clue about.
Josh Groban. The other night we did the gunk, and I came back Wednesday, and I pulled these Howard bashing Dave Matthews. Now he suddenly loves him, and he has him on the show. You could find the two-faced hypocrisy in every single pop culture figure in existence with Howard. So it was so daunting. I couldn't even get through it all the times he's been bashing Dave Matthews over the years. And one of the clips was Robin goes, "Oh, there's all these gay artists now, John Mayer and Josh Groban and Dave Matthews." And Josh Groban was the first one from what I've seen that guy here and there. He's very talented. He can he's got a good sense of humor, and he makes fun of himself, and what I had seen in him. He's a very, very talented singer. I could see him doing good. I could see him doing really well in that role.
I've seen the name. If he was stood in front of me, I couldn't identify him.
Lauren says, best known for being Andy's brother on The Office and a really good singer. I didn't know he was. Oh, he's in real life. Holy shit! Or was he on The Office during the latter years where Stephen Carell bailed on it and was replaced by
He was known for being Andy's brother on The Office.
I swear, if I watch The Office pretty religiously, and I don't remember that. Let me see here, but that's Lauren and Joy because I actually see if you can bootleg Josh Groban singing all the Epiphany and all the Sweeney Todd songs. Did you enjoy Sweeney Todd, Sarah, when we went over it?
I don't remember what I rated it. That was a very good episode, though. That was a lot of fun. Go check that out on Patreon. By the way, before I give my answer that everybody's waiting for, let me get the business done.
One before you do? Which before we went on, Lauren, Sarah said she'd like James Spader on The Office better than
I've never said that in
Stephen
my life.
Carell. I was like, wow, that's ballsy.
Why do you
that's
you just lie so easily?
I know, that's crazy.
Go
ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
Beginning of a new month. Happy June, everybody. It is hot as balls here in the great state of Oregon right now in the Willamette Valley, but that shouldn't stop you from super stickering us, super chatting us. That's so horrible. We are just starting a new month. Our ARM Fund goal, all pennies go to Mr. Arm. Please, if you can, the goal every month is $300. You guys always come through for us, but I just want to remind you every week, send us a super sticker, super chat, super thanks. Join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/WINO forever. We are getting back to regularly scheduled programming this week after a wonderful vacation.
With this birthday show, hopefully it's a series of a few because I'm working on some interviews to honor his youth. And in one way, there's one I want to go back to Miramar, Florida, but one of them is two of them are strictly Jump Street, and I gotta get that. I really want to kind of like a double barreled birthday honor because one of the gentlemen's turned 70 while Depp turned 60, and I think that's a great way to hook him in as I work on this. Thank you, David C. Sir,
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, David C. said something the other. Bill Maher, Sarah. He. This is so brilliant by David C. in its simplicity, and I mean that in the best possible way. Does Bill Maher try to? Because when he said this, I watched something with Maher afterwards. Does Bill Maher? Does anybody try too hard to act cool more than Bill Maher does with the marijuana and the Wiz Khalifa and
probably? But I do want to check out his Billy Corgan interview probably tonight after we get done here. Apparently, it's a very good interview.
What's the gist? Is there something that stood out?
I haven't watched it. I'm going to watch it after we get done here probably.
Nobody makes marijuana look worse than Bill Maher does with the eyes. He already looks like Vietnamese with his eyes anyway. When he smokes, the eyes close more or one closes and the other one doesn't, as I believe it was Ida Greenback said. He leans over in his seat. He starts slurring. He can't pronounce stuff. He can't remember stuff. And he wants you to think that the marijuana is the greatest thing in the world. And is it not smoke, by the way? Does it not corrode your lungs like
a
any
doctor
other
told me?
would?
Yes, it's
smoke. It's not.
That's why I'm staying away. Even if it would fix all of my mental issues, my anxiety, all of that, I can't risk that. I have too much cancer in my family. I can't.
Oh, I agree. It's not worth it. I've smoked marijuana a handful of times in my life, and it just did absolutely nothing to me. It just made me tired, and I hated the throat stuff, and I'm like, there's nothing about this that's worth it. And I'd do it if it felt good, but it didn't.
I sucked on a pipe once in the parking lot of McDonald's after midnight, in like a hatchback. I felt nothing. I didn't want to do it again.
Oh, was it like a secondhand smoke? I mean,
no,
contact high?
Passing a pipe.
Give Sara a tropical contact high.
I got nothing out of it.
Cool. That's the first time I heard contact high in Kokomo.
By the way, we have an event that we need to get to while you have a little bit of light before the sun goes down that you need to open.
Oh, yeah.
I sent you a package. You need to open it on the air.
Let me just get through these chat people first. Okay. Kylo says, define control of your fan arm. Pick the AC dimmer plug from the usual online places. It is a knob that allows you to adjust any motor. I think it's 50. That's a good call, Kylo. It's amazing that hasn't been perfected with fans, right? We're still working on fans. They still haven't perfected them to its Josh Foster goes, James Franco If anyone runs James Franco, by the way, is a struggle plate Simon Rex. There's no situation this Josh Foster cannot work Simon Rex into any situation. I don't know if it was your theory or David's theory or Bon Jovial that Josh Foster, or maybe it was Monique that said Josh Foster actually is Simon Rex. It's really him and Josh Foster's his alias.
That's not my theory, so I won't take the credit.
That would be so funny if it was. He's making me want to be more of a Simon Rex-ophile. It makes me want to dig into the filmography of Simon Rex and go back and watch some MTV interstitials. Autobot. I laugh at New Yorkers crying about smoke. We deal with that every summer up here in the
Yep.
Pacific Northwest.
God bless you, Autobot. They are such friggin' whiners. Oh, a little bit of smoke in the air. Oh, I'm dying. No, you're not.
Sara, do you like on Long Island? I don't know how. I mean, Hooper knows this. I'm sure he can back me up on this. When I used to live in Brooklyn, right, and we would get it was such oppressive summers. The humidity. New York is no place to be in the summer, and it's a cliche, but everybody flocks out of there, and that's why Fridays off became like a thing. And it really was the Hamptons that started this.
Mm-hmm.
There is literally a 20-degree difference between, say, Queens. I mean, obviously Manhattan is like the peak because of the buildings, but I'll go as far as Queens to the Hamptons. There's about, at times, Montauk Point, the Hamptons, there can be as much as a 20-degree difference in temperature. And it's only, I say only, I bet you it's 75, 80 miles east of it. And it's 20 degrees different, like you're in a different
Mm-hmm.
time zone.
Yeah.
So you have this with you in Oregon?
What a segue. Thank you. I'm going to actually have an announcement here in 2 seconds. But yes, in Oregon, I am in the Valley of Oregon, which I think, and if, I know the Valley of like Los Angeles is much hotter than it is in Los Angeles proper. I'm not an expert, but yeah, if I travel to my parents' home, yeah, prob 20 degrees difference.
That's crazy.
But what I'm going to do while I was away on my vacation, I recorded all of my drives that I took around the little beach towns. So I'm going to be putting that up tomorrow morning on our channel.
I enjoy that. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube of people filming their immediate area, or if it's like sometimes it's the ocean, sometimes it's the city, and I will watch that occasionally, especially if it's as an Aquaman fan, I'm obsessed with
The only issue
Seven
I had
Seas.
on these drives is the camera is not a plus camera that most channels use, and driving through the mountains, some of the roads were a little rough. So when I was in the beach towns, it's much better. So a little shaky, but I think you can at least watch these videos. I think it's 2 hours total.
We're
That
gonna hear the golden tones of Sam Mitchell in the background, like we
no,
did
I'm
with
going
that
to take that out.
Camilla video
No, but
from NBA radio.
you can at least watch the video and enjoy the scenery.
I'm looking forward to it. I think the Pacific Ocean is superior to the Atlantic
I
in
would
terms
agree.
of optics.
Some people
Uh,
might not agree after they see this video. The problem I had though, while on the beach, we had wind warnings where I was. So it was not a pleasant experience to be down on the beach. So I have like an overview of the beach and the ocean.
Bill Maher and Woody Harrelson opened a dispensary together. Why does marijuana call it dispensary? Why is that why don't they just can't say store? It's got to be cool. We're gonna call ourselves a dispensary.
I
It
don't know.
somehow makes it medicinal if you say dispensary. What
My
is that?
cousins run a dispensary and they make hella fucking money. I'm so jealous.
Somehow that's not. And George Young had to spend how many years
I
in
know. It's
Otisville,
legal
and
in
he's doing the
Oregon.
same
So
thing. Ah, it's such bullshit. Yeah, Hooper. I pretended I knew what that meant. Does he mean boilerplate, struggle plate? Is that a term? I actually faked that I knew what that meant because I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't know what that meant either. Did he mean boilerplate? Edibles, says Babs the Rush.
I know. I thought about edibles.
Sucked on a. I used to karaoke Hash Pipe by Weezer. And it was pretty good. I got to a point, you do it a lot, you get good at it. I was pretty good at it. I almost had it perfected. And I one time I did this I can't believe it. Dan, the song parody man, used to host a karaoke show with a live band, and the musicians were all guys from washed up heavy metal bands, like Iron Maiden's bassist, and just guys from bands, just from like the hair band, and they all got together and they formed like a karaoke band, and we would go up and sing whatever they could play, and one of the songs was Hash Pipe. So I sang Hash Pipe in this on a very regularly on a Monday night, and I got good at it. But I felt like a hypocrite because I'm such a non-marijuana smoker. I don't deserve to. I had imposter complex while I was singing it. I really did. Like they look at me like I'm not. You
Oh,
should sing about
God.
something you have passion about, and I don't have passion about marijuana.
I sing
Yeah.
songs in the car about broads and Corvettes. I have no passion for either, but you still sing it.
It's David C says it's hard to get to second base with Sara.
What is second base? Feeling up? No, it's not hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's probably even easy to get to third with Miss Sara, but
I agree with David C. I think you're the Liz Cheney of second base.
well, if you're talking about like today, if I'm planning on banging tonight, no. I had a crappy day from beginning to right before I came home. So it ain't happening today.
You're it's like Benito Santiago's behind the plate, or Bob Boone, and you're like Tim Raines trying to steal second, and it's just never happens. So I think Bob Boone was considered the best defensive catcher. Is that right, Hooper? In terms of
You're asking me another question I don't know anything about.
what was the thing with Artie had the joke with he goes oh, and I miss you, yeah, like the Expos miss Tim Raines.
Oh, God.
And we
Jesus,
laughed.
God and Jesus, please help me.
Long Island's cool. Yeah, we're stuck by the ocean. But Hooper, like when I lived in New York, I had never realized how like pleasant Long Island was. It was really like it took the edge off. You stopped sweating. And that's why everybody inevitably moves to Long Island, especially the good pizza makers. All the good Ginzos, all the good Ginzo pizza makers are on Long Island now. They're out of New York. New York City is not the mecca of pizza. It's Long Island, right, Hooper? In fact, I might go as far as saying Ronkonkoma is the mecca of pizza. The Sachem School District. It is Little Italy personified.
Let's get back to my day for a second. I want to explain one more thing. You know who just put an exclamation point on my day? My cat. She just dropped a cannoli in her litter box, and I'm literally, I'm choking right now.
What? Drop the cannoli.
A chocolate cannoli.
That cartoon cat and her crazy adventures.
Oh God,
Did you just make that up?
my
Drop
eyes
the
are
cannoli?
watering. Yes, I
God
did.
damn.
I had to relate to you. Sorry, so I said cannoli.
Yeah, that should have been hatched in Long Island. That cartoon cat. She's too cute to have isn't her shit not stink?
Oh God, she's worse than a man.
Oh, I hate men.
I know. I set you
I
up for that dumb joke.
I hate men. Good God, do I hate men?
I love how
Sarah, what?
you cut me off every time. That
Cruise up
stupid
to the Autobot says cruise up to the beach towns in Washington. I agree with
I've
her.
thought about that. I'm so inexperienced with Washington beaches, except for Puget Sound. I have to.
I got on a I have a playlist on one of my YouTube accounts, and it's just it's up to like 2,000 songs now. And the other day I'm like, oh no, what about Queensryche? And then I went back and I listened to Queensryche and Jet City Woman and Empire. They're from Seattle, and every time I listen to Jet City Woman, I think of those what Autobot's describing. I'm in a Seattle state of mind as much as I am with the grunge scene. When I
You
listen
thinking
to
about the bubblegum wall on Pike Place? It's so disgusting.
what's his name, Jeff Tate. That guy's got some singing voice. That guy's one of the premier singing frontmen, I think, in the history of rock and roll.
Hmm.
So underrated. You know Jet City Woman, right?
Yes, I do. I like that
Okay.
song. Are you ready?
What would you like to do first?
I would like you to open your gift.
Okay, so this is Kathy Scott, if you're in there, has a correspondence going with Lori-Anne Alison Depp, Johnny Depp's first wife, from Miramar to making the trip to LA with him. And they were together up until about 1986 when he went and did Nightmare on Elm Street. To this day, Laura, if you're listening, we wish he was still married. He should be married to you. You're the best thing that ever happened to him broad-wise. We would never be in this mess if it wasn't that mess, if it weren't for Hunter S. Thompson. And had he stayed with you, we really wouldn't be in that mess. You're probably artistically underrated, and you got that great Spitfire. So in this correspondence, Kathy Scott has gone. I don't know how it started, but I'm so glad it did. She
I
got Lori. God,
sorry. I just want to preface, you don't know what this is. So what happened is this was sent to me and then I sent it to you because I received one also. So I took mine out and I sent you yours to set the scene here.
Monroe. And I had a cosmic cow, I should say, to keep it in the Too Close for Comfort universe, Ben Benjamin. When I found out I was getting this, and I think I know what it is. So we're gonna do an what do they call it? Unboxing.
Yes.
I don't want to sound sexist there. I don't know if you can hear the sounds of the bags and stuff. And I kind of pre-opened it here, and we have "Gimme Shelter" by Suzanne Allison, who is Bruce Witkin's wife, I believe. And that's Depp's best friend from Miramar, who was in The Kids. And then it's a sad falling out they had. And I bet you, I don't want to get into that the second. Maybe I'll get back to it a little later. Who you saw, and he testified in the trial. And I don't want to bring up the succubus's name, but you saw him in the Fairfax trial. Bruce, that's his wife, Suzanne Allison. Lori-Anne Alison was Depp's first wife, and they are sisters. And this book she made, it's Celebrities and Their Pets.
Open
and
it.
I'm opening it. It says, "All the best, Lori Depp." Jesus Christ. I can't believe I can read her script handwriting. I don't even know how to write script anymore. It's been so long. That's
Mine
huge to me too. Go ahead.
mine says, "To Sara, all the best, Lori Depp." This book is now in a frame. I don't
And
even want to put fingerprints on it.
oh my God, I'm looking at the first page. I can see my eyes are so bad. It has a picture of a grave of her mom, Sheila Mom Witkin. This is so sad. 1940 to 2006, and a picture of her dog at the gravesite.
Yeah.
Sheila Witkin. Sheila, and it says mom on the tombstone. Oh my God, I that is so sad.
Thank
Okay,
you, Kathy, so much. We appreciate this.
where is she? I'm looking at the, but it's hard for me to read the book in the same time.
She hasn't posted anything, but she's going to
she,
listen. Oh, God, the foreword. Oh, great picture of Depp. Depp wrote the foreword to this book.
yeah. So somehow before I read the book, I got privy to the foreword, and it was really tough to read because it was all blurry. And I tried to read this, and the foreword goes something like this.
For as far back as I can remember, which is approximately age 17, Suzanne has been taking photographs. Photographs of anything she deemed worthy. Portraits of people, snapshots of places, an expression, a passing glance, sleeping dogs, balmy sunsets, everything. Life, basically, even the occasional snap of yours truly, much to the dismay of my glazed and awkward latter teens. Her knack for capturing a moment, her passion for catching a feeling, is and always has been remarkable. Over the years, she's continued to expertly refine her vision, her talent, the evidence of which is beautifully elucidated here, within this book of portraits, page after page after page. Oh, we go way back. Suzanne and I, way back to the murky mists of time, to South Florida, the 80s. There was a gang of us, kids, out on the town. Oh, life was lived, day by day, night by night. Who knew where we were going to ever end up? Never really crossed our minds, though. We were close. That's where Suzanne met her husband, my dear pal Bruce. I actually introduced them. They're going on 25 years. That's some feat. They have produced a miracle in their shockingly talented daughter, Veronica. And we've all come a long way since then. Their union has never ebbed, and neither her deep affection, her deep fondness for the wonderful cause that permeates so necessarily from out of these pages, stretching far beyond their confines. Love for the fellow inhabitants of our planet, those to whom we are oft charged with their well being, and it's something we can all relate to. The subject entwined within the heart of the human race. From the sale of each book, the work that the two charities benefiting here will be able to accomplish will be the inestimable value, and it is that value that have that altruism by which this project has been forged by Suzanne herself, which in itself yet another talent I can compliment her with for as long as I can remember. Johnny Depp.
Mm,
Like it's Shakespeare to you.
welled up, right? He
Yeah.
goes, you got to read the prose in this guy. I had to do this a couple times because not only could I not see it, it's almost like translucent on the page because it's on like a, with my 70/180 vision and the black background. His prose, I'm going, all right, is he saying here he's supposed, and then he's using elucidate. Is it the first time a forward has an elucidate in it? The vocabulary on this guy, you gotta, because you sort of going, am I pronouncing it right? And most of it I knew, but it's just he has a certain speech cadence and rhythm where you're going, so the comma go here, and I would rather watch him write forewords than play with the Hollywood vampires. I think he's a tremendously underrated writer, obviously influenced by all his mentors and stuff. But this is what you get. Like, remember the Rolling Stone thing I read? It's a similar stuff. But where a $20 word will go, he will always replace a $1 word with a $20 word.
Mm.
Elucidate in a forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jet City is actually Renton. I don't even know what Renton is. Not Seattle. Everybody thinks it's Seattle. Thank you, Autobot. I didn't
I
know
think
that.
Renton is a little south of Seattle, if I remember correctly.
Benito Santiago is a pride of the Padres, says Benny. Brick the electrician goes, I'm literally smoking a joint right now, in and out. So many people enjoy the benefits of marijuana, and I just could never find that groove. There's G Canada going crazy with hashtags. Gee, we're so lucky to have you. I'm glad that's a guy I don't want to be on his in his crosshairs. Right? Is there anything worse than being on the wrong side of G Canada with all those? Thank God he's on our team, right? I thank our lucky stars every day that I'm not on his shit list, right? The testicular providence shit list, and the depth delusions that await him. Um, what the hell is I going to say? So, as going through this book after the foreword, it's actually I'm not even a huge animal person. Welcome, Jamie, as well. I see you over there. I'm not even a huge animal person, but going through this, so it's celebrities and their pets, and so Suzanne Witkin, Bruce Witkin's wife, Depp's, let's call her sister-in-law, right? Because it's Lori Allison's sister. And do you ever lose, if you get divorced, do you lose the sister-in-law, or does that maintain?
I would say you lose it.
You lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not in my book. It's easy. It's just easier to say. So the first one we see Matthew Modine's dog, right out of the gate. We got Matthew Modine. As I'm going through is that Mick Jagger? Yeah, Mick Jagger. Keith Richards. Even the dog has is underage. We go to the next page. Amanda Seyfried with her cute dog, and we have who's this? I don't know this. I can't. Spanky Jones, of course. We all know Spanky. The next page I love. I believe this is Suzanne's actual dog, Harry Witkin. Sarah, you see this on page? Actually, I don't number the pages. It's a couple pages, about 12 pages in.
Okay.
It's got a her dog is a Miami Dolphins hat on
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it.
and a Dan Marino jersey.
Mm-hmm.
How great is that?
Should be a Browns jersey. That's
Could
all
that
right.
crazy cartoon cat of yours, Camilla, wear like a Deshaun Watson jersey?
She's so thin and dainty that her model body, I can't find a jersey in her size. I've tried.
Have you tried?
And she'd probably try to hurl herself off the building if I put it on her.
After the Depp foreword, this might be my favorite thing in the whole book. This dog with a Dan Marino. It fits it well. It looks good. Oh, this is the dude from. You remember the guy who dated freaking Cynthia Nixon on Sex and the City? His
Which
name
one?
is Louis Eigenberg. He'd go,
No.
Miranda, I'm not that kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
He was like kind of a nebbish blue collar guy.
Oh, Depp's in here too with his dog. A
What
painting
page
of his
on?
dog. I don't know. I'm like halfway through.
Oh god, thanks for flipping around and not
Well,
telling me.
I don't know.
There's
There's no
Mandy
page
Moore.
number.
Yeah, there's no page. She's right. There's no page number.
Is this a good show? We're just describing what's on every page.
I'm quickly going through this.
Oh, multiple pictures of Depp with a dog.
Courtney Cox. You see this one?
No, I'm looking at Depp.
Even the dogs have Botox. We have Elaine Johnson. I don't know who that is. Julie Benz, the actress. Eric LaSalle from friggin' ER. Who's this jagoff? Ted Levine. Elizabeth Perkins and her dogs. I'm skimming through this. It's very hard. Benicio del Toro. Wow, a little Fear and Loathing reunion. Jason Mraz. I'm trying to find the page you're on, Sarah. But again, there's no numbers, so there's Diane Lane, your girl crush, Sarah. She made it in here.
Oh God, Marilyn Manson with a cat.
Rum and Mo. These are Depp's dogs.
Yes.
Which
I'll put up. This is like nobody can see this, so I'll put up pictures.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
I'll put up pictures on our community tab tomorrow.
And I want the picture of the dolphin dogs.
Okay.
Suzanne's dolphin, because that's such a great shot. And it's color.
All right.
So you see the Dan Marino jersey.
I'll take pictures of mine and I'll put them up.
Again, I'm not a huge animal person. This is a great book. There's a lot of great people in here. People I'm genuinely a fan of. Elvira with Veronica Witkin. Veronica is Bruce Witkin's daughter, who apparently is a great musician in her own right. They brought her up in Depp brought her up in the foreword. Veronica. There's Steven Tyler. There is Giovanni Ribisi and a Scientology dog. One of the more underrated Scientologists of our time, Sarah.
Mhm.
Giovanni Ribisi. He's been in Fear. He was in the Rum Diary with Depp, and he was in Public Enemies with Depp. Here's Todd Rundgren. I knew that. Todd Rundgren is the original like blonde mesh with, what do you call it? What do you have? What's the term with the hair term when you have the blonde kind of what Momoa did with Aquaman?
Highlights?
Is it highlights or is it
I don't know.
Sidney Poitier? Is that his daughter? There's Joe Perry. Rick Nielsen. I'm gonna get off this soon until I run into anybody noteworthy that the chat would enjoy. It's just too hard to skim through it. I can't see anything.
Okay, I will put pictures up tomorrow.
You go Demi Moore. Wow, this is a real who's who, eclectic group of names in here. That's quite connected to find. It's a great idea for a book. Marilyn Manson. Jesus Christ, this didn't age well. That cat. He's got a Whip 'em Out Wednesday tattoo. There's Alice Cooper, Cheryl Cooper, Marilyn Manson. I mean, Cooper's pool table. That's a cool room he's got. See that? He's got a kind of like a man cave room. Alice Cooper has. I would rather watch. I was thinking about this. I would rather watch Depp play golf in a foursome with Alice Cooper than watch the Hollywood Vampires. At this, I would think it would be more entertaining to watch them golf
I'd rather watch Depp in a foursome than
with an
anything.
actual. People laughed at him, but I think the self-confidence of Rick Barry had to shoot free throws underhanded. Yeah, I know, Josh. Rick, I was Shaquille O'Neal was confronted with that, and he goes, "It's just not cool." And they won't do it. You could say to an NBA player, if you shoot underhanded, you're going to shoot 88% from the free throw line as opposed to your normal 52%. And they go, nope, it doesn't look cool. And the owner goes along with it. It's one time I was fooling around. I took a ball and I just shot 20 free throws underhanded before a game. And I went 18 for 20. It was that easy. It's just it's just you have no cool factor, so they can't. And the player empowerment's so bad that you can't even force the player to shoot free throws in a way where he'll hit them all. How horrible is that? Sarah, are you on there?
I'm here, yeah,
Okay.
listening to your rant.
Amber Heard play. If you smoke, don't come to Cali, says Kylo Sierra Alpha. There's Cindy Clausen. Welcome, Cindy. Just got here. We talked about how horrible The Idol is yet. Sadly, Lily Rose has not inherited even an ounce of her father's. Wow. I was thinking about that, Cindy, bringing it in. I feel like it's another show. I didn't want to infiltrate his birthday with that. I still have to watch it in
We can
full.
also
But
watch the Idol episode on Patreon.
we could do that. That's not a bad idea. We could do that. It's getting destroyed. Like, you know what it is? I'll just really quickly say I thought about this. It's basically her Elizabeth Berkley, isn't it? With Showgirls?
I don't even know the premise. I don't even.
It's the same thing. It's the same like gratuitous nudity, pretending to be art and over analyzing what it's no different than softcore porn on
But I don't know if
Shannon
it's
Tweed.
it. I can't guarantee before I see it that it's going to reach the cult status of Showgirls. So bad it's good.
It might.
I don't
I
think it could ever recreate that dead fish in the pool or that flopping fish in the pool scene.
I wouldn't be too sure. I wouldn't be too sure. So it's like Kyle MacLachlan is Hank Azaria. It's the same feeling I got when Elizabeth Berkley did Showgirls. How she thought it was going to turn into this massive star, and then it became this huge, huge, huge punchline. And I get the same kind of thing with that. I really do. She, it, a lot of people feel it's like I'm going too much into it. I got to stop. Um, a lot. The theory is it's an fu to Depp. It's I do whatever I want. Here you go. Because he can't. Like I said, with this, what he said to Amber Heard in the trial about objectification, and then some of the movies she did with partial nudity and stuff. This is so far beyond any, and again, Vanessa Parady's been nude too. So I don't know. She thanks everybody but her dad in the Instagram post and stuff. So we'll get to that some other. It's another. That's for another show. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to sully this show with the Lily Rose stuff because I still yet to watch it in full too. So I have to. Um, One of the things I heard is she's good in it, but it's horrible. That's another thing I hear. It's hard to really. One of the best acting compliments you can get is being you're great in a bad movie. Like you can turn some piece of crap, but your performance is great and it stands out. PCB PO23 love Showgirls. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed.
I concur. I love it. We used to quote it mercilessly in senior year of high school.
Am I crazy or is Gina Gershon really good in that?
Nobody's really good in that, but I suppose.
Like for what that movie is, like she's as good as you could be.
I think Nomi Malone makes her look good.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You like the weirdest stuff. You were such a
I
strange
have the
broad.
box set of Showgirls from the late 90s. It came with pasties.
You're on a podcast called The Depping. You have a box set of Showgirls and you haven't seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
I have watched Showgirls 50 times at least. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration.
Can you tell everybody why you've seen show? Like, what was your motivation? Is it like, do you love Saved by the Bell or?
Well, when I was a child, yes, but that's not really a good link to Showgirls other than Elizabeth Berkley. It's completely different. But no, it was a classic cult movie.
No, it is, but it's obviously lauded. It's like watching Rocky Horror Picture. It's like it's a joke. Right? I mean,
Mhm.
you're not. It's gotten so bad. It's gone over the line of being so bad that it's become a classic to watch.
We
Almost like
would quote we would walk down the street and quote things like "Get them tits a poppin'" or "Play with them, pinch them a little bit."
right, right.
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I do. That was a line from the movie. G Canada goes, "Why am I not surprised? Arm has watched a movie called Showgirls. Why am I taking shit for watching it, but you're not?
Me?
And you've seen it more than I have."
I can do what I want. Oh, Jamie. Jamie at the bottom says the last comment. Showgirls is like Basic Instinct. Basic Instinct was another one we would quote all the time. We would
Well, I
even
think
quote like the dancing scene where Roxy's grinding up on Michael Douglas. We would quote that scene. Like where she goes, "Ha!" We would
we're
It's
gonna have to do a
hilarious.
thing where we compare Idol to Private Resort, and what is better out of the two. Like what has
I
more
couldn't tell you at this
artistic merit?
point, so
At least Private Resort knows what it is. At least Private Resort knows it's this TNA mid '80s romp. It's not. It knows it sucks and it owns it. I think something like The Idol really thinks there's something more going on than just young guy jerking off to it. I mean, it's just completely. It is no better than any Skinamax movie that you see, Shannon. And I still haven't seen the whole thing, but I love reviewing movies I haven't seen and shows I haven't seen. But I that's the I'm going on the composite consensus of everyone what I've read so far. I don't know what
mhm.
I'm because Tom Byron was going. Tom Byron, who if he's in here, was in the one of the gunk threads. He likes it. He can't get enough of it. I'm looking for a dog to slip it to. This guy's asking for thirds. So Tom Byron likes the Idol, which he's entitled to. He's allowed to like it. NL writes, I don't understand why she should thank her dad in the Insta post because she has any cast members in the because NL, come on, who are we kidding? This doesn't exist. None of this. The Depo baby doesn't exist without his name. You don't ever are we going to pretend that she wasn't cast on the name of him to get people to tune in as stunt casting almost in a way regardless of what you think talent she has? Are we going to pretend that's not what Sam Levinson's fucking motivation was to get her to do this? Are we really going to play that game and pretend that's not what we're going for?
I agree with you, NL. But Mr. Arm wants Depp mentioned everywhere by everybody.
I would just be like, yeah, thank you for having my dad's last name. This is why
Yeah,
I'm
she's
in the
gonna say
business.
that.
This is why it would be so funny if she did though. This is the Nepo baby stuff we're not owning. This is what Allison Williams is talking about. This is what you have to. There's nothing. This doesn't exist without him. And Sam Levinson, who is full of shit, is stammering mf'er, should just say, "I cast her because of her dad's last name and the massive fame from the trial to get people to hopefully tune in to watch this."
Okay.
Who did she audition against?
I
Let's hear
don't
that.
know. I wasn't there.
Tom Byron said, "Hey." Leslie, you know who Leslie Easterbrook is, right, Sarah?
No. I probably know
She
the face, but
Police
oh, is
Academy.
it the blonde woman?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. She was in everything in the 80s.
I don't think the show would even get made without his last name. How about that? How about that?
I don't know. We'll
Are
see.
we kidding?
I
Are
will
we
judge it when I
kidding?
watch it.
Are we really gonna go with that story that it's not that show would never have gotten made without her last name and his
I
last
know, but
name?
let's, as you said, let's not taint the birthday show with Lily Rose
You're
talk.
right. You're right. But if she wanted to, she could at least do a Nicolas Cage and change the name to I don't know. What comic book name could we use for how about Lantz in honor of Black Canary, Lily Lantz, instead of Depp, to make it look like she's going to get there on her own steam. Funny. Basic Instinct thinks it's better than it is, right? Doesn't Basic Instinct
dare
thinks
you.
it's art, though. Doesn't it think it's good? It thinks it's a cerebral, it's a thinking man's erotica. Doesn't it
Kath-
fancy itself as that? Like it
You're
thinks it's.
missing out.
I've
You
seen
have.
Basic Instinct. I
You're
don't.
missing out. If you can't recognize Catherine Trammell was like the greatest villain of the 90s, you missed the mark. And the boat floated right by you.
I've seen Basic Instinct.
Great. You need to appreciate cinema.
How many times have you seen Basic Instinct?
55 times.
You're telling me to appreciate cinema, and you haven't seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but you've seen Showgirls 100 times. I refuse to take cinematic advice from you on any level. Refuse.
No, you're missing out.
Kooky broad. I can't believe you've seen that.
You
50
took my
times.
advice on the Real Housewives franchises, all of them, and you are more addicted than I am.
Where are we going to go next? How about this? Sara and I, this is mostly Sara, but I took some artistic liberties.
What am I doing?
Sara made a birthday video for Depp, and instead of a generic happy birthday, I kind of decided to put my own music in, and this is Sara's birthday homage to Johnny Depp. And I want to say this before I own. Well,
Oh God.
here we go.
Good evening and welcome to Fox.
I'll stay with you through the years. Through the years when everything went wrong, together we were strong. I know that I belong right here with you. Through the years, I never had a doubt. We'd always work things out. I've learned what life's about by loving you through the
Nice editing.
The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years, it's better every day. You've kissed my tears away. As long as it's okay, I'll stay with you.
Good job, Sara. Good job.
Half of that, the first half of that was mine.
There was a broad on TikTok. I can't remember her name. I wish I could pull it out. Maybe I will later. Who did like through just his age? She went from 84 to like modern day, and then
Mhm.
showed his face through the actual way he looked. That Kenny Rogers song it gets me every time. One time I almost made a Stockton and Malone video when
You're
Malone
such a nerd.
retired. That I don't have any video editing skills, so I just quashed the idea. But that Kenny Rogers song gets me every time. Can you
I
believe?
want to say, looking at him through the years, what a handsome motherfucker.
What's your favorite year? What's your favorite?
I'm gonna say early 2000s.
Here's early. That's not bad. Here's what I remember how I always said that he got offered the Tony Stark role.
Mhm.
And the conflict of pirates, and then Downey is his friend, and it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, Jack Depp loves Iron Man more than he likes Jack Sparrow, which shouldn't surprise anybody. Cindy Clausen says, "I wanted to like you, Kathy Scott. I really did. Lily Rose is stunning, but the acting that's what I hear, Cindy. That's the most common opinion I hear, especially the weekend. It's just, yeah, when you have is there anything worse than like a one-hit wonder acting on a television show? And I go back to what Samuel Jackson said about how he went off on how rappers are casted in all these movies, black movies, and he's saying, like, I have all these black friends who have been done their time in the theater for years and years and years, tremendously talented thespians who can't get arrested, and they're casting fucking 50 Cent in these movies. He went, I can't, I gotta find that rant. It was so great. I'm so proud of Samuel Jackson for saying that. And he's right. And so when you see someone like The Weeknd getting these acting roles, it's got to drive someone crazy who's done the work, who's someone who's, could you imagine that, Sarah? Just sit in the acting trenches for years and years and years, and this motherfucker gets casted and stuff.
That's how it is. That's why I'm not in the business.
You are the business, Sarah. You're not a good. You're
only
a
get
great.
the business.
When people see you play Tracy Jacobs in our reenactment of the transcripts, that is acting, right? You gave it that kind of the Liz Cheney, January 6th committee flair to it. Really, really, very intimidating.
Oh, God bless. Thank you.
G Canada goes, this video is, yes, I should say thank you, G Canada. I own all Kenny Rogers music, and posthumously beforehand. Now the Kenny Rogers estate, Kenny Rogers Roasters. I own everything Kenny Rogers has, and we miss Kenny Rogers, Barbara DeRush, and his pit stain.
I miss his roasters. I'm sad that he will never do Islands in the Stream Part 2, or that he never really married Dolly Parton like I fantasized in the 80s.
And we rely on each other.
Greatest duet ever.
They are a good duet. You could tell they really liked each other too. When they would sing a duet, they'd be like, who doesn't like Dolly Parton, right? I mean, it's difficult to.
I love Dolly Parton, but that song gives me the shivers.
I think that song through the years gives me the shivs. In a good way. Autobot, I agree. He goes, I miss the old Fox shows like Beans Baxter and Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
I think you named the two I hated the most.
I love Parker Lewis Can't Lose. I thought that was genuinely. Do you know how ripped off that is now? And freaking, what's the medical show with Scrubs? Scrubs stole the entire thing. Scrubs basically did Parker Lewis Can't Lose in a hospital. Like, it's the same exact kind of, like the interstitials it does and the weird sound effects. The first time I saw Scrubs, I'm like, you mother effers stealing from Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Parker Lewis Can't Lose is like a Ferris Bueller kind of parody thing. And we saw it during the 21 Jump Street thing. Patreon, that's what we did. We did a pregame thing. We did a Weintraub segment. And I showed you that there was an actual Ferris Bueller show that had Jennifer Aniston playing the Jennifer Grey role, which is bizarre. So when I brought up Tony Stark before, I got this interview of Depp talking about his 50th birthday party and how weird that was. And look at how Tony Stark he is in this. Isn't this crazy? This is like, I think Iron Man
getting ready.
3 came out.
Here still, it is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Look at this, guys. Look at this chat. Is that not Tony Stark?
This is like 2008, 2009, right?
No.
When is this?
He's turning 50, so do the math for me.
I can't. I'm too tired.
Didn't you say you're great at
2013?
Yes.
Lone Ranger was that late?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like the summer of 13. He just turns 50. And how much does he look like Tony Stark right here?
I would.
Even the blue glasses, like remember Downey had those in Captain America Civil War? He had these on.
I love his hair.
Yeah, this is the greatest. This is what I would have worn in the trial at Fairfax. This is what I would have. This is a cool Gene Watson. If Gene Watson like grew a goatee and a mustache, and this is my favorite look.
It's like anything. Every day is kind of, should be some sort of celebration, So yeah, I guess when you hit 50 finally, although it doesn't feel any different than 40 or 30 or.
Is
Who's that kid?
A Scientologist, Sarah?
Who's that kid on the right? I'm guessing that Depp and the guy in the middle are on their knees in front of the star, and Tom Cruise is standing there.
You don't know who the guy in the middle is? I'll give you his
Jerry
initials.
Bruckheimer.
Yes,
Okay, I
good,
saw the
good, good.
signature on the plaque.
You know, he had to fight for him to get him in Pirates. And if you said to me, like, in 1994, 95, Johnny Depp will eventually team up with Jerry Bruckheimer, I would have punched you in the face. Because he was like, to me, Jerry Bruckheimer was like, the antithesis doesn't even do it justice. He is everything that Depp was. He is the Bruckheimer was the opposite. I guess antithesis is the perfect word, because he was the symbol of Disney commercialism. You know, big budget, shitty, huge cast, Armageddon, Con Air. You know, just the very like paradigm of commercial Hollywood was Bruckheimer's name. And if you said to me I would have punched you in the face if you said eventually these two will team up. But somehow Bruckheimer turned out to be like his biggest champion.
Meanwhile, you said that, and all I can think of, you know how Amber Heard took his boots off when he got home? I'd rip those buttons off that vest every night when he came home.
What is Josh Foster wants to know from you, Sarah? What is Depp's single best acting performance, and what's the worst?
Oh God, let me see.
I have a quick answer to that without going too deep.
Let me give mine first, because you'll go on.
I'm not gonna.
From what you tell me, Transcendence is the worst.
Yeah,
he filmed it in.
yeah. That's my answer right now. I mean, I can go further, but that's my answer right now.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to give my answer. You give your own answer.
The best for me, Black Mass. It's almost a tie with Ed Wood.
Wow, we have the exact same answer.
Oh, we're in sync.
Black Mass, which is the Whitey Bulger story, which came out in 2015. To me, and it's not so much that the movie is the best. The movie's okay. It could have been longer. It could have been a miniseries. The movie's very good. His performance is stronger than the movie, so much so that it made the movie look worse because he was too strong. It is unbelievable that that's the same guy who played Edward Scissorhands. It's like, you know, he looks psychotically possessed with the blue contact lenses and the wonky eye and the bald cap. Actually, I think he shaved his head and has a bald cap in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the anger. By the way, listen to the Kenny Rogers song, and there's a scene of Black Mass where he's choking out. It so doesn't go with the song.
That's all right.
It's the most morbid. It is so. That performance is so strong that it gets lionized by other actors who don't give compliments. I mean, I remember like Harrison Ford and I think Jamie Foxx kind of just went at they were interviewed for something else, and they just go, by the way, Harrison Ford he's like, by the way, Johnny Depp and Black Mass is maybe the best performance I've seen in the last 30 years. Just out of nowhere. Like, it just didn't make any sense. It was such a bad segue the way he said it. It's something I would do. Like, it had no context at all. The worst part is DiCaprio won the Academy Award that year for the Revenant, and he mumbles, and it's just there's nothing about that deserves to be nominated. He just so effing what a charmed life. I can't root for anybody to get Me Too'd more than DiCaprio. Please, that day is coming soon.
Is that the movie where the bear humps him in the woods?
Okay. Yes. He doesn't say a word the whole thing. It's just such an overrated, like everything else he does. Depp is 10,000 times more impressive as Whitey Bulger during that. And I feel like the impending negativity that was coming at him hurt that getting nominated. Because that was the beginning of the kind of the allegations from TMZ and stuff. I feel like that was he was like in a bad way with the Hollywood media at that time.
Mm-hmm. You would think like DiCaprio would face some smoke. And we're talking about smoke in this episode.
I'm telling you, it's coming. His turn is coming. I pray it's coming soon. He's such a piece of crap. He's the worst autograph signer. He's the worst with the cast and the little people on the street. He's the worst with fans. He deserves a comeuppance like I cannot describe. I think Depp started disliking him too when DiCaprio went and worked with Woody Allen and did that awful celebrity movie. And he basically played Depp reenacting the Kate Moss stuff. They took all these liberties. And I think from that point on, you never see these two in the same hemisphere talking to each other. So wouldn't that piss you off if he did that? If somebody took liberties on something that you were kind of, it was, that some sensitive time in your life like that,
Yeah.
especially with nothing, especially Woody Allen doing it.
Yeah. Using a breakdown as fodder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really believe that was the end of their relationship.
Somebody should do a movie about Woody Allen.
I wonder. Yeah, that's a great idea. I wonder how you do that.
You probably can't do it till he dies. So
I thought that Ronan Farrow thing on HBO was crazy.
yeah,
Or
but
was
you
it
know,
Mia Farrow?
people instantly forgot it, and
I
just
know
they
it's.
still it had no effect.
Why didn't that hit harder?
I don't know because he's got a great publicity campaign, a great publicity team, where you notice things were starting toward the end of the run of that documentary, the last episode or two, things were starting to come out about Mia Farrow that put her story in question. Meanwhile, there's recordings of her saying, "Why did you do this to our child?" and him not denying it on the phone.
Yeah,
Whatever. But yeah, money talks. I don't know
she
how he
can't.
even still affords to live in New York City, but whatever.
Well, that's the mystery about all, like, he he's got these financiers who make his life happen and stuff. I think he must have a group of and I'm sure you could really research this, that just throw millions of dollars at this guy. And by the way, he gets these huge stars to work for him for nothing. So he doesn't pay like a salary. And let's say like he does a movie, somebody else is paying for it, right? And the movie makes, let's just say it makes $8 million internationally. I
Hmm.
think he pockets like 90% of that. Like, he doesn't pay the actors anything. It's basically him walking around Manhattan, kicking around life in the most out of touch way possible. And I don't mean that as a pun, the pedo pun. But I don't think I don't think there's any overhead. And he's got such an overrated, ridiculous legend that has expired decades ago, that he gets these huge names to work for him, that they think it's this artistic, kind of touched by an angel, that they put it on a resume. I did a Woody Allen movie, and it's got this cool factor it doesn't deserve. And like I said, it has soured and expired years ago. He gets everybody to work for him for nothing.
Hmm. He still gets standing ovations at the Oscars. So another reason 432 not to watch the Oscars.
Half
Meanwhile,
of
they're
the
telling you how to live.
half of the remaining candid photos of Jeffrey Epstein that are out there, half of them have Woody Allen in them, in frame, walking on
Yeah,
the
of
Upper East
course.
Side together. That's who he hangs with. If that doesn't
Yeah.
tell you everything.
Well, you love the story. Well, I didn't know. Yes, you did.
Ben Benjamin goes, can you imagine Sara toiling around in Hollywood for years, and then Belinda Carlisle gets to her movie roles? Is How about Natalie Maines, right? That's who you sound like.
Okay. I don't hear
Belinda,
it, but all right. I'll go with it
Belinda,
every time you say it.
Belinda Carlisle. That's great. G Canada, hold that, Lily Rose. Thought she goes, Cindy, she's stunning. She's so obscenely skinny. It's gross. Her dad has a big head for her body. Hold that rant, G Canada, for next time when we talk about Idol. I'm trying to get away from that. It's so hard to. Lily is literally cock blocked Depp's 60th birthday party. Depp has aged well, especially. I know, Jamie, that's so true. The smoking. Have you ever seen a smoker age as well as he did? Take away the 3 packs of cigarettes, brown cigarettes a day, right? I mean, how young would he look then?
Well, look at him in this shot. He, by this point, had already smoked 1 trillion cigarettes in his life. And let's be honest, the cigarettes he smokes, he rolls them himself, and there's no filter on these cigarettes. So they're even more dangerous
Yeah.
and aging. He looks fantastic here. Good Lord. He's got some great genes. I'd like to get in them.
His dad is actually younger than his mom, which is bizarre. John Sr. is, I believe, 5 years younger than Betty Sue.
I think so. Yeah.
And you can see like people have done like these computer kind of aging things, and he really does look like his dad. Like you could see him. The genetics are so insistent. His dad looks like, oh my god, I had a perfect comparison for it last time. He looks like Nicholson. Depp's dad looks like Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Right,
I
Sarah? Have you seen the
I
shot
can't
of him?
picture him right now. No.
I saw Nicholson at the Laker. Oh God, was it the earlier round? It doesn't matter. It was. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was Lakers Nuggets. Yeah, it was Lakers Nuggets, and they did a shot of Nicholson, and again, he's in his 80s, and there was. It made me just because I had just seen a picture of Depp's dad. I'm like, God damn it! I don't know why I'm just thinking this now, but he looks exactly like Jack Nicholson, John Senior. Please, Stevie Nicks and Don Henley, the best duet ever. That is pretty good. I've sang that too. Stop dragging my heart around.
Isn't that with Tom Petty?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. That's what G. Canner is talking about.
He said
He-
Don Henley.
No, he said both. He said both. Stevie Nicks and Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks and Don Henley.
Oh, okay.
30 or even 20 for that matter, but yeah, I guess just happy to still be around. Luck. I mean, there's really no other reason, it's the films that I did prior to, let's say, Pirates being the kind of time when things sort of changed, the stakes were upped a bit. I mean, everything I did before that, not everything, but a lot of it was sort of by industry standards, not blockbuster stuff, so I wasn't ever blockbuster material, So the fact that I was able to survive through that, period of years, 15 years of just bouncing around doing movies, and now to still end up here, is amazing. It's the only thing I can equate it with is luck. There's no other reason.
When he turned, he's talking about like how I never thought he turned 50. That was crazy then. I thought it was crazy when he turned 30, and I told you that tedious story I tell all the time, which is completely in line with this interview. So I'm in a Burger King I must have been 19 or something, and I'm reading USA Today. Remember Burger King used to have USA Today on the counter?
Yep.
So I got my normal like chicken sandwich. I got two fries and the refillable soda. I'm sure I had some version. I think they had the freaking iced tea, the raspberry iced tea at that time, or it could have been diet. Doesn't matter what it was.
I have to be in a mood for Burger King.
And I'm flipping through. It was the weekend edition of the USA Today. Remember, they were too lazy to make Saturday edition and Sunday, so they came out with it Friday, and it permeated 3 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And the USA Today was great for sports fans because it had tons of stats in it. It had so many good, like it had the national stats, what nobody else would do, and I was getting that all through. It was a really, I like it so much better than the local paper. But anyway, their articles are kind of short, and they like buy pie graphs and stuff. So there's an art I look at and think, oh my God, there's Depp's on and they're promoting Benny and June in USA Today, and I'm reading it. And it goes, Johnny's about to turn 30. I'm like, no, this is crazy. I couldn't believe that he was like it. He's such the barometer of youth and the Jump Street thing. As I couldn't believe it made you feel old. Because he's turning, and obviously you knew his age, June 9th, 1963. But for some reason, it freaked me out. That's 30 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I vividly remember
Welcome.
that. Me on a Saturday afternoon in a Burger King in Bohemia, Long Island, by myself after a run and reading the USA Today in a corner. And the best part was it was it's not lunch and it's not dinner. It's that sort of Dunch dinner thing, like 3:00 in the afternoon when no one's there. Like there's nobody there. It's not lunch is over and it's not dinner and I'm there by myself. And Very
not something you
depressing
see every
June.
day. Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel silly. I suppose I should have.
Let me go to the.
And
That was
one,
maybe the best thing that ever
Oh, let me go.
happened.
So he talks about the Woody Harrelson thing here, Sarah. When Woody Harrelson got cast in Benny and June and then bailed on it.
Okay.
I didn't think you believed me when I said that. So that
no, I've always been interested in the advice that actors.
kind of thing. Like the plates and the rolls and stuff. I worked with.
wait, let me
You
find
do
this.
some impressive physical career because people have ever given you about your.
I mean, I've gotten some really bad advice in France, and he said when he was about to leave, he just said, "Listen, in France, you know, Gerard Depardieu."
Gerard Depardieu, who has some crazy Me Too allegations in his own right. It all goes back to France, whether it's Polanski or
Young girls,
he's got
yeah.
some real shady friends.
He did a movie, one of my favorite movies of the early 90s when I was a kid. But he did a movie with Katherine Heigl, a young Katherine Heigl. And one of the most cringe scenes, because it came out around the time of the young girl allegations. He sits at a piano. They're staying at a resort. He sits at a piano and he sings "Thank Heaven for Little Girls."
Are you kidding
It's
me?
so cringe.
And America learned of him in My Father the Hero.
Yeah, that movie. Yes.
Remember they played that like in I remember like that
I know, and
trailer
I
for
watched
that
it every time. I
all the
loved it.
time. And the big line, and he goes, "I'm dying now." And they said that was like
Yeah.
over and over again. Like for some reason that was the most quotable. And that's when America first took notice of Gerard Depardieu.
I've gotten some really bad advice. Possibly the best advice I ever got was I met Gerard Depardieu one time, and
He didn't
in
French it up.
France,
I'm
and
shocked.
he said we were talking, you know, said hello, and we were talking for a little while, and then when he was about to leave, he just said, "Listen, in France, you know, all we say to each other is shit. We just say shit, and you can't say anything else. You can't respond at all." So he said shit, and then he walked away.
And
That was
one,
maybe the best thing that ever happened.
How does Gerard Depardieu make a living, Sarah? Like in terms of
I don't know. He's
is
probably big in
it,
France. I don't
what
know.
do they pay him? Like I don't know if I've seen him. How many movies has he actually done? And they act like he's like this super wealthy guy. Like what does
I
he
haven't studied his
command a movie?
IMDb
I'm
in
just wondering how
45
guys like
years.
he's got way too much of a legend that he doesn't deserve.
and one final question. I've always been interested in the type of mementos that actors keep from their movies.
Wait, let me find the
'Cause,
Woody
you
Harrelson.
know, it's such a famous Chaplin moment. And I watched a lot of Key
Some impressive
and stuff, and then Aiden and Mary Stu.
Okay, here it is.
I had heard, yeah, he's
the Woody Harrelson thing about him backing out.
Right.
Did that cause you any concern at the time when that happened?
no.
Or should it?
I actually, it was kind of a brief thing. I mean, I had heard, yeah, he's involved, and then I heard, oh, he's not involved, and she's involved, and now she's not, and this and that. And then when they were talking about other people and stuff, and then Aiden and Mary Stewart became, you know, the topic of conversation, I was really excited. I mean, because I'm a big fan of both of them, so I was very excited.
Now, you do some.
You know who the she was?
No.
And I don't know why he's protecting the name. And I'd seen the cast list for this before it came in. He's right. Like I had seen, I'm reading like Movie Line and Premiere and stuff, and they would show like they'd have like I don't know if you remember this. They used to say the movie's coming out, and they would have the casts like a year before it came out. And then Benny and June listed. It was Depp, and it was Woody Harrelson and Laura Dern was supposed to play the Mary Stuart
No thanks.
Masterson role.
No
And
thanks.
so they bailed on it, and they became Aidan Quinn and Mary Stuart Masterson.
Yeah, I'm good with how it turned out.
Yeah, that's way better. Woody Harrelson's good though. Woody's a great
I think he's
actor.
overrated, my opinion.
I could see him doing the Aidan Quinn thing. I could see that. He's had a really good, like for some reason, he's had a resurgence like the last 10 years. People do seem to like him. He's actually had a really good career. But I could see why people don't like someone like you doesn't like him. Believe me, I'm not saying he should be beloved, but I could see him in that Aidan Quinn role. Let me jump ahead to when he talks about his birthday.
Impressive physical.
Leave it for, you know, like my grandkids or the canes and one of the hats. And just pieces, like wardrobe stuff and props. Benny and June, I got the cane or one of the canes and one of the hats, and scissor hands and crybaby jacket and stuff. And yeah, just because, if I croak, I could leave it for, like my grandkids or whatever.
Right. And one quick final question. You're going to be turning 30 in pretty soon there. Do you feel that's going to be
I'm rapidly approaching that.
Is that a milestone that you're looking forward to and putting your 20s behind you?
I actually
He will never be a grandfather. I'm just figuring out.
Why?
Well, what's the main reason? What is his daughter?
They freeze their eggs all the time.
She ain't having kids.
You don't know that.
She's not. Look at her. She's not having kids.
Not that she needs to.
G
but
Canada's
she
about
could.
to make an anorexic joke about.
And why isn't Jack having a kid?
You really think you can't even see him on camera? You can't even get a still of him. You're lucky to find.
That doesn't mean he's not going to have kids. What does that have to do with it?
They're not going to have kids.
Oh my God! Because you can't see, because you don't have footage of Jack Depp, so he's not going to have kids.
Somebody needs to teach you how to pop a man with the towel.
He's not having kids.
You're really into that Jack Depp thing. I'm going to call you Gerard Deppardon.
He's not had. Let's just face it. Come on. He's not. There's
so
no
weird.
end in sight. He's never going to be a grandfather. You heard it here first. I'm predicting, and the odds are against me because you could take anything to do it. You heard it here first. He is not going to be a grandfather. There's nothing that suggests Lily Rose or Jack are ever going down the road of kids. They're just not doing it.
It's
Guaranteed.
certainly a take you have presented. Okay.
Do you want to go the other way? I mean, that's fine. Do you want to make a wager about this? Because I'm down with it.
I don't want to bet on whether Jack Depp impregnates a woman. I don't care.
What are we at? We're 23? I bet you by 2030, he still won't be a grandfather. It still won't. How about that? We'll go to 2030. If he's not a grandfather, I win, and whatever wager you want to put on it.
What do I collect?
Jesus, I'll drop the Steelers as my favorite team and become a Browns.
Sure you will.
I will.
No, I'm not taking it because I don't believe you.
I promise you, I will drop the Pittsburgh Steelers as my favorite team and become a Browns fan.
You're already a Browns fan, which doesn't make sense.
I like them. They're not my favorite team. The Steelers are my favorite team since I was a little kid. And like a lot of kids from Generation X, you didn't have a hell of a lot of options, and it just had that cool factor in the steel curtain and everything. They were just the coolest team, and they still are. So, yeah, I will drop the Steelers and become a Browns fan.
No, we don't need you.
We don't need you've been a Browns fan for 4 years now? You calling it we?
I had a 20-year vacation from all sports. So, yes, I became a Browns fan 4 years ago in their unwinning season. So, yes, I am a real fan. I've been through the thick and thin of the last 4 years. I had to survive Baker Mayfield, so I get credit.
I can't. I mean, you have nothing to say about Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack.
No.
The best backfield in the history of the Browns. And by the way, rest in peace. I said this, Jim Brown. That's crazy. He just passed away. Tim Burton, actor, by the way, right? Mars Attacks. One of my dreams is that Depp would have worked with Jim Brown in some capacity. Jim Brown, star of Mars Attacks. Can you believe that?
Jim Brown, shockingly, never made a cameo appearance in 21 Jump Street.
He would have. Well, Richard Roundtree did in season 4. Kareem did in season 4.
Yeah.
Kareem, that was the first thing Kareem did after retirement, was that episode of 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, you're still. Yeah, Rick the Electrician's right. Like, so that Generation X, like, you pretty much either were a Steeler fan, a Cowboy fan.
I would say
Dolphins
49ers.
fan.
I'd say 49ers too. I was a big 49ers fan.
49ers or the Raiders. Those are the
Steve
teams
Young,
that were in your face all the time. Because in New York, the Jets and the Giants were super duper boring. They
Yeah.
just had nothing you could latch onto. There was no reason to. The Giants became pretty damn good by the mid '80s, but when I was a little kid, they were insufferably boring. And so to
Hmm.
be subjected to them in New York was, and the Jets were always hideous. They had a couple of runs, but there was something about the murkiness of the NBC telecast that made me hate the Jets because it was such a boring broadcast. I feel like every weekend the Jets played the Colts and the score was 9-6 and you had school the next day. And there was something about Marv Albert. He bored the shit out of me too. I think he's the most overrated broadcaster in the history of this. And he was doing somehow they let him do jet. He's this weird hold over they'd let him do local games, even though it was kind of national. And so yeah, such a majority of people were. And the funny thing is, the Buffalo Bills are really the only New York team technically.
Buffalo Bills.
It's a New York team now. They're
Canada
actually
team.
in New York State. Oh, they're Canadian.
Yeah. All right. Nobody wants to
Sarah,
hear about football.
Johnny Bye wants to know: would you settle for Jack Depp if you couldn't
No.
have Johnny?
No.
You are 23 years older than he is.
I couldn't give Depp a grandchild at this stage in my life easily. So, no. That would be the only reason I would do it.
The crazy thing is with Lily Rose is her life is exactly what Amber Heard's is. She's sexually fluid. You don't know. She's sexually ambiguous. She's a lesbian today, and tomorrow she's not. And it's eerily similar to Amber Heard's, as a matter of fact. Jamie says, "Why doesn't Johnny talk like this now?" I know. I'm thinking that you think he has decided to talk slow with a different accents. Even here, you notice that, Sarah, the speech cadence, how different it is, and then obviously you sound different as you get older, but his is crazy. If you do
Hmm.
it side by side, that's even Jamie. If you want to see, how about Depp talking to Bryant Gumbel with Peter DeLuise at 24 when they the very, 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 very few times he ever promoted 21 Jump Street out in the media. There's literally like 3 times he promoted that show. And the one that has been out there, which is one of my favorite interviews he's done, is him and Peter DeLuise went to NBC 30 Rock, as a matter of fact, and Depp went to Letterman to watch Letterman in that time with DeLuise, and they got interviewed by Bryant Gumbel on the NBC morning show, which I didn't know at the time. Like, there was no way to know. Like, back then, like, you didn't know what was on. Like, if you get TV Guide, they didn't really have like, you could read, like, who was on the talk shows. But so many times they wouldn't even submit a list. And that stuff, if you didn't catch it when it was on, it was gone forever. There was no replaying of it. It wasn't going to be on in the afternoon. There was no YouTube. Nobody would capture it. It was gone.
Hmm.
But see this stuff. It's as somebody had a a VCR running, and they recorded it and they throw it on YouTube now. But other than that, where are you going to see that again?
Yeah, you're right.
Lauren Marie says, poor Johnny needs to ask for veneers for his birthday present. I don't like to comment on someone's appearance, but smoking really has ruined his teeth.
I think it's a
for him.
combination of the smoking and then the damage he did to his teeth with that Pirates
Yeah, he was
gold.
way too into it, right?
Then I see he had it removed, and I think now he's got like permanent staining where the gold was.
Josh Foster says Depp would have been. You know who Jim Carroll is?
Uh, Leonardo DiCaprio character, right?
Bingo.
Basketball diary. Okay.
Basketball diary.
Heroin addict, right?
What I don't know what DiCaprio looked more ridiculous in. He's supposed to be an all New York City basketball player in that movie.
His
Do you
little
know
hairless
how
beanpole
repetitive
body that
it
never
was?
matured.
It was so like that's the days of like like New York was actually at that time, and that's no longer at all the case. But back then it was like a hotbed for basketball. And to look at that guy, how bad he looked as a basketball player. Like you noticed how badly edited the basketball scenes were.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and then Marky Mark, the 5'6" power forward playing next to him. It's such a badly cast. I remember really cringing. I really am such a snob when it comes to basketball and movies
Yes,
and
you are.
TV shows. Like, I can't take it. I can't take watching bad basketball. It's such a hard thing. I can tell by the way you catch the ball that you can't play. Like even if you're just sitting at the top of the key and I just just throw you like an underhanded pass, I can tell by the way you casually bring the ball down that you can't play. Just that little subtle thing. He was so ridiculous and he's always so miscast. And the only time I've ever enjoyed him is when he played, Gilbert Grape and like This Boy's Life. And of course, Growing Pains. DiCaprio did get Me Too, says David T. They on him about the girls being, yeah, kind of, but it's almost like that ridiculous backward compliment. Oh, look at this guy. He pulls a young, like the 25, that the age thing with him. It was almost like a backward compliment, though. I'm talking about a real Me Too, David C. I'm talking about a James Franco friggin' Chris D'Elia Me Too. That's what I want. I want a legitimate Marilyn Manson. I want him to go down so hard. He's had way too charmed a life. He needs such a comeuppance.
Well, we'll see how the lawsuit or whatever the scandal with Evan Rachel Wood turns out. I am not following it, so I have no clue.
Please, if anybody has anything remotely resembling sexual misconduct, please,
They're already doing
within
that.
the sound of my voice, take DiCaprio down now,
sorry.
ladies. I'm just.
I thought you meant Manson still.
No, I'm talking about DiCaprio. Oh, Manson's for another time. Yeah, that's the other Rooster Roboto, right? The gay thing with him, Sarah? I think I believe that too. The beard, that he's trying too hard to look like a bachelor.
Well,
I'm into that theory.
I don't know. I think he went through a lot when he was a child actor. I'll just say that.
Yes, G Canada. That Casey Armstrong press conference with Marv Albert's one of the most underrated Stuttering John substitution interviews ever. And that was his debut, too. That was Casey's debut on the show. I got him to ask a Depp question to AJ Benza the other night. I should have clipped it for today. Damn it, I'll get it next time. I talked about Benza, the Harvey Weinstein, and Faye made it in a bitch, and they wanted Depp to play Benza in this book. So they were going to do like a paparazzi movie, and it sounds cool. Not because he has no reason. I actually heard the same rumor, by the way. I was watching Entertainment Tonight when they announced it, and that Depp was going to play AJ Benza and Weinstein was going to produce it. And it just never happened. Then they turned their attention to Entourage. But that is a true thing. AJ is not lying when he says that. And he wrote it in the book too. AJ Benz is the only one who defended like Harvey Weinstein throughout which is bizarre. He really was just saying like it takes two to tango. Like Jennifer Lawrence and Gwyneth Paltrow knew exactly what they were doing, casting couch wise. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like they're not all victims. Is kind of what he was saying. Do you agree with that, Sarah?
For certainly.
Yes, he has the money to get his teeth fixed, says David C. Dentists are miracle workers. Yes, they are, especially Bob Ostrowski and Castle Shannon.
Nice burp there.
Oh, you heard that?
Yes, I hear every burp.
Stepmom, Johnny Bye-Bye, the Depp contrarian. Stepmom like daughter, the bisexual icon Amber Heard took apart Hollywood's bisexual closet. Oh my God. I think I'm trying to think of the other one that was in there. Who's not in that orbit? It's coming to me. Who's also doing the bisexual thing? It's very cool to say you're sexually ambiguous.
2/3 of them.
I know it's like
I
it's
don't know.
2/3 now. Okay. Next thing I want to show you is from your buddy Andy Cohen, who has provided you so much entertainment. I went and found, I remember I was telling you about What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Speaking of Gilbert Grape, Mary Steenburgen is on Andy Cohen's show with Jane Fonda. And they asked them about roles they've done. Have you ever had a crush or been sexually attracted to a co-star? And What's Eating Gilbert Grape, for Christ's sake? Listen to this.
Genuinely turned on while filming a love
Fair
scene.
use.
1, 2, agree or disagree.
I've never
been turned on. Disagree, agree, disagree. Okay. Anyone brave enough enough to name the love scene they were turned on by?
No.
No.
Christopherson.
Christopherson.
And Johnny Depp.
I mean.
Oh, damn.
There
really?
you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
I have been programmed to, anytime I see a Depp co-star, I will watch the interview in the hopes that he'll get brought up during a thing. I did not see that at all. So she slipped on this thing. And that is, every time I see Mary Steenburgen, I never have heard her talk about Gilbert Grape. That's the first time. She actually doesn't even bring Gilbert Grape's name up in that interview, by the way. She just says Depp, and they're like, what? They don't even know what movie that she's talking about.
Well, Hanoi Jane didn't seem happy with that.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to ask you that. Do you think Jane Fonda is Team Amber?
Oh God, Jane Fonda is so fake woke. It's ridiculous. Yes, she is.
But she kind of reminds me of Streisand in a way, in that she kind of is kind of like an 80-year-old broad who's sort of fearless and doesn't really give a shit about what popular opinion is, like where she would take Depp's side in this. I feel like she's a broad who would like him. But again, you're right, though. I feel like she may be more such a feminazi that it would be impossible for her not to be Team Amber in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, married to Ted Turner, like one of the largest carbon footprints on the planet, but she's going to tell me to save the environment, save the environment. Okay, Jane.
Hey, Sarah, if it wasn't for Ted Turner, we'd have no NWA wrestling at 6:05 on Saturday.
I'd give it all up if I didn't have to hear Miss Hanoi talk again and preach to me. I only call her that because my dad was in Vietnam, and I had to hear about her my whole childhood. His love of Jane Fonda.
Your dad's love of Jane Fonda?
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Vietnam is not exactly popular with soldiers, so maybe he just realized the glitches in Vietnam and took her side. I don't know.
No, he went and did his duty for his country.
As did you. Thank you for your service, Sarah. Thank you for your service, ma'am. I believe DiCaprio is so smooth with chicks, he breaks up with them and leaving the cap off the toothpaste, says David C. Well, when you're a big movie star, who's not smooth with, right? Isn't it the easiest thing in the world? I mean, let's see him working in Salem, Oregon, pulling that shit off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I believe the beard theory with him. I'm gonna go with that. I think I just feel like you never see him holding hands with anyone. There's never any PDA. There's never any. It's just all, and he seems so sexless to me. I'm gonna go with the beard theory. Ted Turner was a douche too, says Pablo Papano.
Yep.
He had 5 kids, but he told us plebeians not to breed. He did say that.
The peasants aren't allowed to breed.
I'm all over the place on Ted. I never can. I understand the hate he gets, but he definitely was an innovator with that TBS. And again, the Braves and the Hawks, and he was so involved with things that I loved. And maybe I'm overrating him. My dad was in the military and likes Jane Fonda, says Rooster Roboto. That's an interesting. I'd like to hear his take.
Opinions.
It's a crazy, crazy time. It really is so polarizing. That Vietnam. I mean, who knows better than Private Gator Lerner himself, Depp, right? Who did his
for watching.
Who served, right? I mean, Private Lerner died with Charlie Sheen trying to resuscitate him. He died for his country, Private Lerner.
Yeah, I have nothing against her. She's other than being a hypocrite. I have no connection other than my father to the Vietnam stuff. I just think she's overrated in 9 to 5. That's my only gripe with her.
You are not overrated in 9 to 5, as a matter of fact. Toots?
I think about that movie title. I'm like, I wish I worked 9 to 5. That seems like such a short day for me. Add about 4 hours to that, and that's my day.
Well, the thing, a lot of times you hear the thing about an American workday, and Europeans will criticize us for it all the time. How we waste. So it's not necessary. Those hours, like you waste so much time in that window. We're obsessed with those hours. Like you can't tweak it at all. there's this American work day and work week that we're too obsessed with adhering to, and it can be whittled down to much shorter of a work day. And the thing which I believe you do, where you work a couple more hours on another day and you have another day off, which everyone should have the option. If you can get your work done in this amount of time, you should have another day off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you can work 10 hours and then take Monday off, you should be able to do that. We're obsessed with 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. We need to and I think one of the great things about the pandemic was it kind of punched a hole in that. Like, oh, we didn't need to be in the office this long. You could work from home easily. This is the boss needs to keep an eye on you, but you know that's unnecessary. How many days have you had idle where you did shit for 4 hours? I don't need to be here this long. Hello?
I'm listening. I'm waiting.
I asked you a question.
I don't know. I don't know if you're asking the chat or me. So
I'm asking you.
there are a few days, but I need to get paid, so I'm going to stay.
Speaking of getting paid, here's Depp touring. Now, this just came out last week, and we didn't. He announced an apology for not the American length of the Hollywood Vampires tour, and he issues an apology, and he hooks up with them again in Bulgaria. I actually was looking on Instagram, and there were a lot of angry fans. People were like renting hotel rooms and renting, all sorts of money they wasted wanting to see him in Boston and New Hampshire and New York. I must have seen like 50 Instagram posts about people going, I took days off to come to Boston, and he's, that's when you go to a concert, that's the risk you take. And he somehow load manages during this and genuinely injures his foot. And this is Depp's apology for that.
My dear friends, I'm sorry to say that I've fractured my ankle, which is a drag. It began as a hairline break, but somewhere between Cannes and the Royal Albert Hall, it got worse rather than better. To that end, guys, the guys and I are very sorry to miss you in New Hampshire, Boston, and New York. But fear not. I promise we'll bring an amazing show to all of you in Europe and bring our absolute best to the East Coast later this summer and make it up to those who have paid for those shows. Again, my sincerest apologies and all my love and respect, JD.
Yeah, Depp is somewhat aware of the lengths people went to go to. Like I said, I read one post. This woman was raging. She said, I think I told you this. She said she wasted, man, $2,400 altogether getting to New England from where she was with all these arrangements and all the way. And I don't know. I think you're about to say, well, screw her. That's the risk you take. Is that what you're about to say?
I'll let you go, then I'll give my take.
No, is that your take?
Yes.
I knew you were going to say that.
Not necessarily a screw you, but yes, that's the risk you take. That's why I don't drop that much money on shows.
Yes.
Anything can happen. There's a performance run by 60 people.
Yep.
Sometimes during one of those shows, if one of these people falls, the show gets canceled.
Not only that, but she took it to the extreme that, and a lot of them did, is that they bought the VIP pass, which is an autograph kind of a meet and greet at the end, right? So that takes you to the four figures and beyond when you're doing this. And then when you're a poser, like these broads are, these fake Deptford wives who got on from the trial. Yes, they are.
No, you don't.
Who aren't music fans, who are watching this because they think he's going to marry them and they have no interest in the actual sounds they're making musically. That's the risk you take. You kind of deserve it in a way. You do. You deserve. This is not what he was meant to do. You are not a fan of his for anything to do musically. He
I
is a
don't know
film
that I
actor.
would get on a plane to go to any concert ever. If you're coming to my city, I'm happy to go, maybe. But yeah, it's like you are running such a high risk, especially if you're, or running up your credit card, thousands of dollars for an hour and a half performance.
And has no interest in the music.
Yeah.
Are
Mm,
you are you
maybe
kidding?
they do.
Do
I
you
don't
really
know.
think they're fans of Alice Cooper and Joe Perry?
I don't know. I don't know these
You
people.
gotta be kidding! It's the worst.
You don't
There's not
either.
the average. Some of these crowds, like the average age of these girls, like in their 20s, no idea who any of these songs existed, who any of these people are, and they're there because they latched on to him from the Amber Heard crap, and they think he's gonna marry them if they do a meet and greet. Let's face it, that's what she thinks is gonna happen.
Again, you don't know. Maybe.
Yes, I do know.
No. You're just jealous you can't go and pepper him with so many questions you get thrown out.
Because his music is not why I'm the Hollywood vampires are the problem, as Tracy Jacobs would tell you. The more tours he books, the less decent scripts he's ever going to pick up. Do you think we're ever going to get a good film again, besides A City of Lies or Minamata? If the more he does this shit, Tracy Jacobs is spot on with this. We're never going to get a decent film the more he does this. He's basically playing a cover karaoke band. There's nothing about this that's artistic. I'm not going to back it. I'm not going to it. Like I said, 6 months of touring with them is 6 months you're not going to get a decent movie. And that's just going to go on and on and on and on until one of these guys drops dead. And then who do you do? Will you replace him with who replaces Alice Cooper at that point?
I
And I
don't
like
know.
Alice Cooper, but I'm not. This is everything wrong with this point in his career. I am a cinema fan. I'm also a music fan, but not this. This is not. This is forced gimmickry and stunt casting and everything Depp claimed to be against as a musician in his early days. How many times has he swore I would never cash in on my fame as a actor and tour with a band and Kappa? How many times did he say that in early interviews?
Mhm.
I'm not facilitating this. I'm not going along with it. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I needed to. What are we? I can't.
You'll be okay.
I'm not going to be okay until I see every time I see a tour announced, I know that it's going to be not just 6 months because it'll spill over into well over a year. So it's going to be years until you see another decent movie. And then then Jeff Beck comes along, and it's whatever dinosaur rocker he'll team up with, and then it's just more time. You're not going to see. And now he's 60. I remember thinking that too. He's turning 60, and every time a shitty music tour is announced, it gets you closer to another kind of milestone of not having a decent film.
Mhm.
Rejected scripts, and he has a production company, which I have gone in ad nauseum about, which he can front his own movie. He can make his own movies. The
What
whole
would you
point is having a production company is to do
Mhm.
your own thing.
What would you do though if he suddenly announced on his 61st birthday he was done making movies, he was done acting, and he was now going to be a musician the rest of his career?
Um,
Are you sweating?
you would hear the angriest like we would do like a 3.5 hour deafening, and it would just be me in a 3.5 hour
I would
rant.
just be here muted,
Yeah, you'd be muted.
snoozing.
Yep. And I'd take it to another level. I'd probably start to talk to people in his life about and
Jesus.
I would make it known. I would take it to another level. If I never got to see like another Black Mass or Donnie Brasco or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas kind of thing, if it never, like I said that Hell's Angels, the Thompson book, like I've been dreaming about that coming to fruition for years. And it seems like I've heard him tease it and it still just hasn't. This is what he should be doing right now. He's going to be too old to do it at a certain point, and you're never
Mhm.
going to see this stuff. Modigliani, that's what he's going to direct the Pacino. God, again, period pieces, period, enough. I can't take another period piece. That was like the number one thing I had marked off. Like, Jean du Barry and Modigliani is exactly what I was having eliminated from the script, from the movie genre.
Yeah.
Period pieces, European period pieces, out, never again. That's the first thing I would have X'd off.
See if you can do me a favor this weekend and legally obtain, of course, Jean du Barry. And I would like to check it out if you can obtain it legally, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I just saw something. Barbara DeRush says, "Arm, you need those Marv Albert tapes when he had sex." Yeah, Marv Albert lived in Howard's building, Barbara, at the Millennium Towers. And he and have a weird history, but he's one of the, I don't know, there's like a handful of, it's about a dozen celebrity types that live in that building, and Marv Albert lived in Howard's building. I don't know if he's still there anymore. Marv Albert's about 83 now, about.
Was Marv's wig glued on or stapled on?
And speaking of, you have to have wigs to live in that building.
Jet black wigs.
Marv's had a toupee as long as I can remember. As when I was a little kid, there were hair jokes about him way back, like in the late 70s and early 80s. He's never not had a toupee.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother Steve had a toupee, and I don't know if I've ever seen his real hair, actually. Remember the biting thing with him?
I know, that's the darkest part of that whole thing. And he liked to dress up in like corsets and pantyhose.
He reminded me of Ed Wood too, Marv Albert.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the look, kind of, he had a very Ed Wood look to him. All right, the next thing. So in this, so Depp catches up with the band, oddly enough, of course, in Europe, right? It's anything European, he's there, he's on board. He just happens to catch the European leg of the tour and skips the American part. And America is, as far as I can remember, is the country that cleared his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you should be putting all your energies into.
Unanimously.
But this is the actual tour. So Alice Cooper gets the crowd in Bulgaria to sing Happy Birthday to Depp before Depp does an homage to Jeff Beck. And I've fused the two together.
Is this fair use stuff?
Well, it's a concert. It's not this isn't licensed to anything.
Okay.
Moi, c'est joué I don't even know how to sing that song. Bless your hearts, thank you so much. That's the largest happy birthday song I've ever heard.
Here's the strange thing, Sarah. Because this is in Bulgaria, I guess they're ahead of us by a bunch of hours.
Okay, possibly.
So they sang Happy Birthday to him before his birthday was here.
Oh, and they probably are ahead of us, but that can happen. You can have a birthday week.
I'd like to think they're, I don't know, I'm sure someone in the chat knows the Bulgarian time conversion. What would you say? They're 8 hours ahead of us or something, 10 hours ahead of us?
I don't know.
It's got to be something like that. I mean, they could sing it. It doesn't have to be his birthday. It could be June 8th where this is, but it says June 9th. And I'm just assuming logic prevails that they're ahead of us and they're singing Happy Birthday to him, and it's June 9th in their world. And somehow Alice Cooper tipped off the crowd to do this. It doesn't show that. And I don't know when that happened, but that's what I heard.
If it didn't say crowd sings happy birthday to Johnny Depp, I wouldn't have
You would
understood
know
what
it,
they were
right? You would
singing.
know. You would know it. That's true.
We're gonna do something in honor of Hero, and I'd like to introduce you to one of Jeff's best friends.
Good point, Rooster. He says people are worried about being outed and having leading man roles. I mean, yeah, that was the thing with like Rock Hudson, right? Where
Well, much different time, yes, and a much different attitude about being gay.
I'll admit, I think about it all the time. Like I see when they try to make Neil Patrick Harris play a heterosexual, it takes me completely out of the movie or whatever I'm watching. What was it, Gone Girl? Remember he played like some
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but yeah, only because we know what we know.
Yeah, I couldn't take it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The whole time. I never once bought it. I was immersed in his homosexuality during that movie. I could not stop thinking about this guy's a fruit basket. I'm not buying him as a heterosexual. That was there's
Retire that phrase.
Who else is yeah, right, retire that phrase.
Yes, retire
Like
the
you didn't
phrase.
like I didn't learn it from you.
You didn't, so nice try.
I'm just kidding. You know I'm kidding. You act all sanctimonious with me, Toots.
Only when I'm on YouTube.
Yeah, well, screw YouTube. They've done nothing for me.
I love you, YouTube. No, but when you watch Rock Hudson, I think it's just the way it's a thing with each actor. I mean, Rock Hudson, I never would have thought Rock Hudson was gay based on, the stereotypes, unfortunately. But yeah, I was convinced Rock Hudson really loved Elizabeth Taylor in a sexual way in Giant.
I gotta concoct a list of gay actors in modern times who kind of just came out and they've been playing heteros for a while. Kevin Spacey, right? That was people were just like there was always rumors about him, and it was like what? He always came off as strange and almost asexual, like oh he's gay, and then he was finally because of all the crazy sexual misconducts he had to admit he was finally gay.
Now, that's because he wasn't gay. He's a predator. That's why he came off weird.
No, but he thought that he was going to, if he admits he's gay, somehow that would go. The rumors would, the allegations would go away. You remember his apology? He starts off with going, "Well, as a gay man, like it's like if I admit I'm gay, then you can't have." He was acting like there can't be sexual misconduct if you're gay. So he's gonna preface up front that he's gay, and
Yes.
somehow it's gonna make it all go away because he admitted he outed himself.
Well, he tried. It didn't work. So he was too creepy for people to accept his apology.
Apparently,
and the way he deflected it.
Apparently, more shit came out about in Europe. He's got another thing in Europe, more cases or allegations,
I'm
or
sure.
I forget. It was like a couple weeks ago. I saw that. It didn't get enough traction. So he segues from that into a performance, and as you know, his David Bowie singing style, the Alice Cooper had to bring out of him, because Alice Cooper had to remind him, Lauren Marie, that he played Sweeney Todd, and he in fact can sing. So let's do Heroes because David Bowie did it, and that's going to be a staple in the Hollywood Vampires.
I should dedicate this song to one of all of our heroes.
Johnny Bye-Bye with a cackle
Mr.
joke.
Joke Beck.
Oh God,
Yeah,
devil
we
horns. Devil horns are so 90s, honey.
See, this is
in
what
your
I'm
mood
talking-
ring.
This is what I'm talking about, sir. This is the crowd going to these concerts, right? This is what we get. These are the posers. With this is Hot Topic blackface. These are real music fans watching this. Really. Johnny Bob says, if Depp had Lily Rose's cankles, he would have been fine. By the way, Johnny, it's funny you say that because apparently the room, it's, I don't know, 80, 90% sure that the Idol role is based on Britney Spears, who also had some cankles on her, right? So
Oh,
I don't know if that's a coincidence.
I wish I had her cankles.
Do you know are you into Britney Spears? Do you know her
No.
like biographical
I
sketch
know
and
like
all that
2
stuff?
albums.
Well, do you know her story?
Yes.
Okay, so apparently Idol is very close to her story, and
I
almost
haven't seen Idol, so I don't know how to compare it.
all the I don't know if all the Britney fans are like she's got a massive fan, almost like Depp heads in a way. Um, apparently very very angry at this that they all know that they're portraying Britney and it's disrespectful, and so I don't know if there's any hullabaloo. I'd like to go on and see what her fans think of that. I'm not a fan. Um, I kind of
I'm not a
uh,
fan either. I know her background for the most part.
but I understand she has a massive fan base, and
Yeah.
Depp slipped on his Viagra pills when he actually is on Cialis, right?
Mhm. But
That was
there's
so
debate
bizarre.
on whether it's just for depression or impotency.
Is Cialis an antidepressant?
Yeah,
I
can be
didn't know
used for
that.
that. I think.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I thought I had them all down. I thought I knew all the antidepressants. Kathy Scott says one was on a plane fixing to take. I love a good fixing, Kathy. That's so Tennessee of you.
It's
Fix. They
endearing.
said fixing a lot when I went to school at Murray State.
No, but
Uh,
it's fixin'.
Fixing, right? Fixing. Squared away and fixing.
No.
I wish I could swim.
You can swim. We've seen
Dolphins,
I
Miami
didn't write
Dolphins.
this song.
like dolphins can swim.
Can't believe the Miami Dolphins are incorporated.
Nothing will keep us together.
Listen to that David Bowie impression.
Yeah.
But we can be friends forever and ever.
That's just like
We
you.
could be heroes just for one day.
How many times has this song been remade, Sarah? Remember
I
the
don't know.
Wallflowers did it for the Godzilla
Oh
soundtrack?
yeah, that's right.
This has been remade a lot. Look at the David Bowie collage. Sarah said that they should switch the David Bowie montage with a Sam Bowie montage and
Nobody
show
knows
him
what you're
through
talking
the.
about.
I will be king.
This is Phil's birthday area. Is that a Godzilla from? What is that?
No, I can't hear you.
Oh, that's a Hollywood vampire.
Though nothing will drive them away.
That's a good David Bowie.
We can be heroes just for one day. We can be us just for one day.
I'm distracted by those claws on my hand.
To answer your question, Jamie, did Johnny Depp ever do a Comic-Con? He has done a Comic-Con. He did the San Diego Comic-Con to promote Fantastic Beasts.
Oh,
and
yes,
the
he did.
story behind that, tell them, Sarah, what the story was.
Amber Heard was also there promoting Aquaman. So they
Yes.
had to separate them, make sure that they were separated because everything was. What year was that? 18?
Well, the Aquaman came out in 18, so it was the summer before that.
Okay. So yeah, everything was kicking off with lawsuits and all that. So
It was July, I believe, of 2000. And Patton Oswalt introduced him, if you remember that.
no, I don't. I
Patton
ignore
Oswalt
everything he
hosted
does.
it was and brought him out. And so when he played Grindelwald during that, I'm trying to remember if there's another backstory to it. So yeah, San Diego Comic-Con 2018. And I believe there was I want to say Lone Ranger. I want to say one of the pirates
It could have been
or
Lone
Lone
Ranger.
Ranger came, because Comic-Con now is so ridiculously not comic book.
Yeah, it's very
It's just
broad.
anything. I mean, they come like they they do stuff like
Anything insanely popular in pop culture is going to be featured at Comic-Con.
like a Ronan Farrow documentary
Yeah.
at Comic-Con. Well, that's how off the comic book it's gotten. Like there's no limits to what non-comic book stuff they'll promote at that thing. It's just initially when that thing first, I don't know what the first year was. I want to say like from what I heard, it was like the early '80s, and it was an actual comic book where people they just talked about comic book things, and then little by little, it just became more just ran amok.
That's what I was waiting for.
I can remember
It's fine.
standing by the wall in the
Nice echo.
dark above our heads. You kissed so nothing could fall. And the shade was on the other side. We could be there forever and ever.
He hits that note pretty well.
Heroes, just for one day. What you say? Just for one day.
God.
From what I understand, during these Hollywood vampire concerts, he sings. He probably does about 3 songs singing wise,
Mm-hmm.
and they change it up as far as like he might take. They should just let him sing the whole time.
I want to find the first person, dig them up, whoever said woo, and smack them. That is so annoying to me. Woo! Who the fuck thought that up? It is so ugh.
I heard you did it at the wrestling show you saw in Portland.
No, I
with
was
Deb.
vomiting.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Of course, Alice Cooper doesn't really play an instrument, so I guess you'd have to. But they go back. I think he sings 3 songs during that. But I think nothing would be funnier than just like an '80s pop, like a Paula Abdul cover by them, or Taylor Dane. So how funny would that be if those guys covered that shit? Right? I mean, have fun with it. It's nothing more boring than covering dinosaur rock songs that you hear on your classic dinosaur rock station. In Long Island's case, it's like WBAB. They play the same 30 songs over and over again. Just anytime it's just there's nothing funnier than covering like some cheesy pop song and to turn it into a rock version of it. That's what, if I were choreographing and give him a set list, they would be doing Paula Abdul's Cold Hearted Snake.
Well, I'm going to say something that's going to get me banned from planet Earth. David Bowie's overrated.
I think he is too. I
Aren't
say
we
that
just been kicked off
a lot.
YouTube.
No, I agree with you. I think he doesn't have as many hits as you think either. If you go through his hit list, his hit
Oh,
parade,
Come on,
there's
Dancing
not
in the Streets
that
with Mick
much.
Jagger. Come on, that's genius.
The
Video is so hetero too. Anyway,
on the pop charts, I literally think
Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
Yeah.
Let's play under the moonlight, the serious moonlight.
Ground
If
control to
you
Major Tom. It's like, okay.
But I think like something cheesy like "Let's Dance" was like the highest, and not because I'm not going by like hits, but I agree with Sarah. I do think he's overrated too. How
Hmm.
many how many instruments does he play, if at all?
I'm guitar maybe, and it might be rhythm guitar. I'm not a Bowie expert. I just,
Well, as you can see, you can imitate him very. Depp can just imitate him like in 2 seconds, so it's not that special. His singing voice is okay. I agree with you 100%. I think he's massively overrated. His legend is kind of sickening. The amount of
I
worship he
wouldn't say
gets.
that, but I get why people are fans. I just, it's like, okay, he's not a music god, like I just saw in the chat. I
Welcome,
agree with that.
Pell.
David, the violinist, is here also. I need David to if he can join me for Golden Girls
When is that?
Thursday. Maybe Thursday?
We gotta at some point, and I'm not saying when yet. We're gonna start the Seinfeld Patreon watch along as well to incorporate it into everything else,
I'm not gonna
just to
hog
mix it
him,
up.
so if you
Just to
want to
mix
use
it
him for
up.
Seinfeld, that's fine.
David, I was thinking about a name for the segment you do before the watch along. We go over a couple of tidbits that we find. What about the Penske Files? Do you remember the episode? By the way, that is the Edward Scissorhands episode in which that happens. The Penske Files is the one where George pretends to be working at a company, and he fake works by looking at the Penske Files the whole time. So I thought that might be a good name for the segment. Um, I'll just kick it around. No, Amber's like, what does Johnny say here? I know that Amber went with him because I love. He was with him. He was like a girl with that soft dick.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, he didn't seem to care at all about the Cialis stuff. He really didn't give a shit. Judy Tenuto, how much in negotiations have we been in with you and Buckwald to get you to do this show?
Yeah, and
Jamie,
by the way, I did see that email. I'm just getting back into responding to emails. I haven't wanted to do it lately. So, yeah, I saw it though.
Jamie G. Pell Elliott Steel Toe suggested that they make a Ghostbusters. He'd be good in that. Depp in Ghostbusters? Why? Why? Stay in your lane, Steel Toe. I don't want to hear you talking to whoever you are. You don't get to talk about Depp without my permission. Stay in your lane. I don't even know who that is, but I don't. I can't deal with the grifters.
It's another
trying
one
to
of
latch
those
on.
YouTube internet
Okay.
shows that jumped on the Stuttering John bandwagon.
Kathy Scott says he's done with America.
Yeah, I agree
Well, I
with that.
say to that, I mean, if you don't like America, that's fine. But America is the country that gave him his life back. In Fairfax, he was guilty in the UK, the country that he worships all things Monty Python and Paul Bettany. That's the country that considers him a W beater, right? So wouldn't you just go to the country that has your back the most, which would be America?
Mhm.
America is the country where you feel the safest, is where they give your life back. It's where everybody. So this notion that European is where I don't buy that at all. I think that's shifted entirely. I think he needs to be here. I think that European stuff is what should I say? Soured, ripened, hacky, antiquated. That whole mentality. I think it's expired with him.
By the way,
5:30.
happy birthday, Depp.
Speaking of birthday, what else do I have here? Okay, so this is them. This is the Hollywood vampire family, I guess, leaving Bulgaria. And I don't know, they must be on the private jet still. And Sarah, here's that guy again that I'm obsessed with. If anybody in the chat knows this dude's name, I think he's the manager of. I think he's considered the manager. It's not Shep Gordon. It's the old dude who walked in and out of the Fairfax trial with him every day. He has gray hair and he's slight. He's got to be 5'6" and he looks kind of gaunt, and he just was kind of skulking in and out of the trial every day with Depp as security. I don't know who this is. I assume it's a music manager. I don't know. The name never comes up every time they analyze the who's who from Fairfax. And so he'll see him here, and I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to point to him. It bothers me I can't get the name. Here they go. Ganell John Havlicek, General Aviation. Okay, so there you see the awaiting black Navigator SUV. I don't know what make of this thing is. I'm not even going to try. And so I assume this is all security. Is that Sean Bett straight ahead, Sarah? That
I can't tell.
Or is he walking out with him? This is like today or whatever last night. Or there's Alice Cooper and his wife.
In
Completely.
his acid wash jeans and white sneakers.
This dude in the lime green golf shirt appears to be maybe on the security team. Almost looks like a hockey goon.
Well, this could be just a general security guard hired by like a record label.
It could be. I'd like to see how it all works behind the scenes, how they set all this shit up. Okay, not this guy. There's Joe Perry and his wife, apparently.
I think it's Joanne Perry.
He somehow can't carry his own guitar. He's like a
No, he'd probably
95
topple
pounds.
over. He's a little old man now.
He's wearing a fucking scarf in
God, look at that
June.
posture.
Look at what he's wearing in June. Look at this shit.
No, that's what they do.
Oh, I just want to choke him out with that scarf. God, I really do.
Extreme.
I hate dudes wearing clothing in the summer like that. I hate it. I hate it. It makes me. I'm sweating looking at it. I just want to choke him out for not having any metabolism or blood going through.
Welcome, welcome.
This guy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he slipped in there. This motherfucker is everywhere.
Welcome, Johnny. Welcome.
He's got a little polio crutch. That's not
Welcome, Johnny. Welcome.
sad.
Now you see him here on the left on my where I have it paused.
Sorry, I had to cough. Yes.
He if you go back and watch the Fairfax entrance.
Yes, that's him.
And I cannot get this guy's name. Nobody seems to know it. I've shown you pictures of captions where it shows the title say Johnny Depp seen here with, it shows his sister and there's 4 names. This guy never gets named in the picture. He's always flying under the radar, and I'm sick of it. I've got to get his name.
Are you talking about Sean Bett?
No, the weird manner. This guy, old dude, he kept skulking into the trial with him. He's got to be like in his mid 70s. He's got to be 5'6", and he's lurched over, and he's sitting there. He has like sandals on and jeans. This guy, see him?
Yeah.
Right here. Every day he came in and out of Fairfax with them, and they never talk about him. His fucking name never comes up, and I'm sick of it. I need to know this guy's name.
Welcome. Welcome, Johnny. Welcome. Happy birthday.
There's Malcolm Connolly, Sarah. See him on the right?
Mhm.
That's the other security guy, from the Scottish security guard.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Would you like
Hillel
to say
says
something? Would you like
that guy in the gray crocodile shirt looks like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He looks like prime Hacksaw.
That's a great comparison. By the way, Sean Bett is a big guy. Depp is about 5'10", 5'11". Sean Bett's got to be a solid 6'5", 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
The guy on Sean Bett's left, our right, has Sean Bett by 3 inches at least.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we calling him? 6'8", 6'9"?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I bet you he's on the security team.
I don't know. I don't think he's playing at NBA height like you think, but
No, Sean Bett's about 6'5", 6'6". This guy's got him by 3 inches here. Sean Bett has a very interesting approach to security. He has to go along with Depp's amazing patience and generosity with his fan base. Just
Smartass in the chat has a good theory here. I agree with it. He says it's Johnny's sobriety coach. I heard his sobriety coach is traveling with him right now because of his broken foot. I would buy that. And maybe helped him get through the trial too.
that's smart as.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, smart as. Good theory. The only thing I would push back on that theory with is I listened to an interview with you might have heard it. We played it a few times with Josh Richmond, who played Ronnie Seabach on 21 Jump Street. And he was talking about how their post-trial rituals of going to these fancy restaurants in John O'Reilly's, the kind of DC area where all the, there's a lot of big time, political restaurants there, that high end 5-star restaurants. Might have been the Four Seasons, whatever the hell they have there, the hotel restaurant. And they said that they drank tons of wine during this. Now, just because you drink wine doesn't mean you can't have a sober coach for drugs.
I think it's more
But that could
pills.
very well be smart ass. That's a pretty good theory. But if it's alcohol, I heard that. I mean, alcohol doesn't seem to be his problem, does it? Is alcohol
He says
really
it's
his
not.
problem? It's
but
not. I agree with him.
It's Hollywood sober. So just as long as you stay off the pills and the cocaine, you're sober.
Well said, Sarah. Hollywood sober. But that's as good a theory, smart as I have ever heard. And he which it would be why the name never gets incorporated into anything I see
I
capsulized.
think
Because
somebody
he's
commented.
always there.
Somebody commented too that he was identified. I remember hearing about him, and he was identified. I can't remember who he is though. Apparently, though, he's got a history, maybe a possible iffy Me Too in his history. I don't remember details.
The other time I've seen the guy there was a Hollywood Vampires, I don't know, recording session or interview, and he's hanging out in the background. And so this is like, I don't know, a few months ago. And so I'm trying to picture, like, he is the manager of the new, but the name never comes up. This guy, what does Shep Gordon look like?
I don't know.
Alice Cooper's manager. Remember the guy? Remember he did the drunk and drug-addled speech at the CBS tribute to Shep Gordon? What does he look like? If you can look him up, Sarah, can you Google Shep Gordon and see if it matches with this guy? Because I hear that guy's name all the time, and there was a night. This is probably like a month ago. I get so angry at not knowing this guy's name. Okay, so it's not him.
It's not him.
I got so angry at not knowing who this guy was. I spent 5 hours looking at his picture, Googling, just trying ridiculous searches. Who's the guy? Like I would write in Google, who's the guy who walked into Fairfax with that? And then shit would come up, and I would read, and I would just go through every caption. I cannot find this guy's name. I'm telling you guys, go back and watch some of the Fairfax entrances and exits. He's always with him, holding the door for him. And when people comment on it, everybody else's name comes up except this guy. It will not invoke his name into anything. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of not knowing who this guy is. I'm telling you, it's the last thing I do is I got to figure out who this is.
I'll try to heal your throat.
Ask?
Hey. None of this shit. I will touch if you don't get away.
Don't touch.
You get away, I don't touch.
Don't touch.
Right?
Your
Jesus.
case.
I don't
Don't
care
touch.
where I am.
This is our rules.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that this guy is you know how the security guards have to almost be like silent assassins where they don't get.
Well, when you're a littler guy, security guard, you got to use your mouth.
I like how agitated that guy is. It's about time someone ranted like that. I want to hear more of that. That's how I would be.
And what a prick the photographer is. It's our rules.
Let's hear that again now that we know what he said.
Hey. None of this. I will touch. You don't get away.
Don't touch.
You get away, I don't touch.
Don't touch. It's your cake.
I don't
Don't
care
touch.
where I am.
This is our rules.
Okay.
Okay. Don't touch.
He reminds you of so many like really, really badass older referees that I worked with as a basketball ref.
Mhm.
And for some, the guy's like in his early 70s or late 60s, and you completely won't fuck with him. Like he has like a weird presence, and he'll go at it with anyone, and that's kind of what that so reminds me of that. Look at this guy. This guy's a monster. Depp has been known to roll the window down and say, "Oh, fuck it, I'll give you more." He did that all through Fairfax, and they'd pull away. They'd stop him at a light. Remember, they would stop at lights and stuff. And it's interesting, the security protocol. Ed Rooney. I'm looking at this. That's a Mercedes Metris. Thank you, Ed. That's a Mercedes. You ever hear that? A Mercedes Metris?
No, I'm poor.
It's so funny the car names they come up with after a while. They're running out of like superlatives, and they make up the Mercedes. I will never forget that, Ed Rooney. Thank you very much. The Mercedes Metris.
I love Ed Rooney.
That's a great name.
Not the actor playing Ed Rooney, but
Jeffrey Jones was in Ed Wood. He was a Tim Burton staple for a while.
and every time I see him come up on the screen, I'm like, ooh.
Is he in prison?
I don't know if he got out, if he served his time, but pretty sure he was.
G Canada goes, that guy is perpetually captioned. David says perpetually captioned as pictures and friend of the deceased. I don't know. Again, I didn't expect anyone to. I mean, you guys are as baffled as I am. I mean, it was driving me crazy during the actual, to stream that trial every day. And I'm giving you guys everything I got as far as information goes. And I know all the names. And it was the one guy that escaped me. It drove me effing crazy every day. And every day after the trial, I'm trying to look him up, and I could never find it. So what Smartass says is the best guess I've seen so far, that he's some kind of sobriety coach, and it's all about the anonymity. I don't have a better answer than that. I don't. Some manager, or he doesn't deserve.
No, I don't think it's
to
a
be-
manager. I think it's more in the lines of a coach, life, whether it be life or sober or whatever.
How about a drinking coach instead of this guy? Because
No,
I
you're
could
not-
be
you're not gonna be
security and
hired.
I could be drinking coach and security at the same time.
Hey, if you got hired though at that $3,000 a minute, I wouldn't have to beg for super chats every episode. So please hire him.
Yeah, speaking of that, like and subscribe. I
Yes.
feel like such
Hit
a
that
horse
like
saying
button.
that. Hit that like
Oh, no,
button
no, no.
right now.
Smash that
Smash
like
it,
button.
smash it, right, smash it.
By the way,
Jo-
if you can, please help us meet our arm fund goal for the month.
Johnny
Okay.
Bye Bye, how
I'm not
dare
done.
you?
I'm not done.
Okay.
Super chat, super sticker, super thanks, or join us at Patreon. Patreon.com/WINO forever. Thank you.
David, are you in the net? We're doing the what is the title of the episode again? Search and Destroy, the gay episode, the gay bashing episode. David is set to sit in during that, and Southern Girl wanted to sit in during the how much is that body in the window, steroid episode. So I don't know if that
Kathy
might
wants
be
to
what we
sit
do
in?
next. Kathy wants to sit in too.
I don't even
Please.
know what order we're in anymore because we had to.
Yeah, we jumped her because of the Christmas one. We jumped around. And,
Yeah.
Johnny Bye says that, yeah, please. The whole Depp ankle thing is so he can score more pain.
Contrarian number 2.
That would be, he's got a contrarian comeback for every situation. It
That's
really is
alright.
crazy. And
We welcome you all.
do you think Johnny Bye-Bye is actually like Skeet Ulrich or Christian Slater or someone that Depp wronged, or maybe he's because it's something more than him just doing shtick. There's some background. Maybe it's what's his name from Jeff Yeager, who he beat out for the Jump Street role when they cast they
Coming
shot
back
the
for
pilot over
revenge.
again. Yeah, I think it's Jeff Yeager. Lauren says we said his name in the past. Lauren,
I know we did at one point. I don't
know
remember.
if we said it. I don't know. I'm confusing him for Shep Gordon because every time I see Alice Cooper, I would see that guy. The Daily Mail had an article about the mystery guy during the trial. Says Johnny Bye-Bye. If Johnny Bye-Bye is saying that, I believe it because he's such a super sleuth. He's given us so many good things. There was a book I wanted to ask him for that I don't remember. Johnny, you gave us the Dan Schneider chick. What is her name again? The girl came out with the book exposing Nickelodeon.
I don't remember her
I
name.
wanted because I needed to read something on that. I'm pretty sure he gave us that. But Johnny Bye-Bye was responsible for the Jennifer Grey book, the Tracy. He gave us the whole litany of it. There's so much in there. The Tracy Lords crybaby part is such an underrated little thing that nobody talks about. They're just catching on to the Jennifer Grey part now. The Depp Delusions just caught on to the Jennifer Grey part last week when she goes into her thing is it's pretty crazy. Jennifer Grey's history with him is a very, very, very and the fact that I think the craziest part is Tracy Jacobs was her manager before his, and she used Jennifer Grey to get at Depp and then dropped her, and then she became Madonna's manager, and that's a very interesting handoff.
Thank you, Ed Rooney, Jeanette McCurdy.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed Rooney. Jeanette McCurdy.
Who, like all of them, said, I have information and then reveal very little.
She did. That was
That's
more than
debatable.
most. That was more than most.
Hey, guess what? Did you hear he liked feet?
No, well, it was him keeping bikini pictures of her and put her in suggestive stuff, underage, and there was a lot. Even in the articles, it was more than most. It was good. Giving an eating disorder, ironically.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Doug. Yeah, thank you, Autobot. Jeffrey Jones is in Sleepy Hollow. I forgot about that. He looks so weird in that. Tim Burton loves to cast the same people over and over again. No matter what they do, he will not recast his stable of people. David says, I feel like I've been an absentee chat member lately. I don't mean to be. That means you're deservedly busy, David. They should be giving you all the gigs, all the musical scores. I was watching Batman the Animated Series, David, the other night. I just had this nostalgic desire to watch one of the episodes, and all I can think of is you when I watch it, how your score is so tailor-made for what that show is. It's exactly what you do. Just watch any given episode of Batman the Animated Series, and it's David, all like Shirley Walker and those type, Michael McQuistion, but I think it's Shirley Walker during those, and it is so David. I can't. He's so tailor-made for that damn show.
And how dare you, David, have a life?
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to tailor those. We'll probably do how much is that body in the window?
Which one is that?
That's the one that's a steroid episode with.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, this is so nerdy. This is so Depp Street geek, and that I'm embarrassed to say this. What I'm about. Not that it's.
No, you're
it's
not.
How do I put this? I'm watching a show called The Glades.
You should already be embarrassed.
And the only reason it's a typical, just like quirky detective show. It's nothing special, but it's like a guy who's got these savant detective skills, and he moves to Florida and he just solves murder. And the only reason I watched it is because there's a writer named Clifton Campbell who's the showrunner. And the only reason I know the show exists is because we did a Jump Street episode, and his name's I'm like Clifton Campbell. Let me look him up. So I'm looking him up, and it says he's the showrunner for a show called The Glades, and he started out as a writer on the 21 Jump Street staff. So I'm watching The Glades in the pilot episode. They're showing the guy's original partner. It turned out to be a murder, and they pan up to his name tag, and on the name tag, it says Ogletree. In the episode we're about to watch, the main character's name is Mike Ogletree in 21 Jump. So I connect, and instantly I'm watching this. I'm going, did he write that episode? Sure enough, I looked the Jump Street episode up. Written by Clifton Campbell. This guy is obsessed with the name Ogletree. So he used the same name in Jump Street as he used in The Glades 20-something years later.
You are a Depp font.
No, I'm not even. It's not even.
Yes,
it's just one of the stupid connections you make. It's and this is what writers do, right? They just go back to their own. This guy, if we could somehow look this guy up, we're going to ask him what his obsession with the last name Ogletree is, because it just is one of those weird things you connect, and I shouldn't have even brought it up, but it's Clifton Campbell. All right, next thing we have here, video-wise, did Mary Steenburgen to turn 30, the foreword, Depp's apology, Hollywood Vampires and Budapest. Okay, so this is an interview the Vampires did right after this. Talk at, I guess, a local news thing they did.
Lumii a ajuns la București, a jucat în peste 50 de filme, a primit 10 de premii, a câștigat Globul de Aur. Johnny Depp a vorbit în exclusivitate pentru Observator despre cariera lui, despre pasiunea pentru muzică și despre România, țara la care se întoarce cu drag. Superstarul mondial va concerta alături de formația Hollywood Vampires, din care fac parte Alice Cooper și Joe Perry, mâine la Romexpo.
What?
Didn't it sound like she said Depp is Joe Perry's fuck buddy?
My brain fried during that.
Bulgarian lilt that was.
Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Cunoscut în toată lumea pentru rolul capitanului Jack Sparrow din filmele Pirații din Caraibe, Johnny Depp a creat una dintre cele mai iubite serii din istoria cinematografiei. De rolul de tată este însă cel mai mândru.
That's the only thing I've done in life that's worth anything, really. As far as characters, I don't know. It's kind of like depends on moods, you know. There are safety characters, for example, like you could break into a Captain Jack very quickly. Those characters can speak in a way.
It's the craziest thing when I look at this. You know, here's Depp with, you know, dinosaur rock legends, Alice Cooper and Joe Perry. I don't know if Duff McKagan is still with them. I can never figure out their rotation. Anyway, all anyone's interested in is him. You know, he's on their turf, and all anyone's interested in is him. And they know this, and they cash the checks. And you remember the Tracy Jacobs dilemma, right? That he wasn't getting any money, and 80% of the people that were watching the Vampires are his fans.
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting nothing. He was just agreeing to work with these guys because he wants to work with them. And here, every time they do interviews, all they care about is him. But again, he's on their turf, and they know it. And they kind of go along with it. It's just a bizarre... This whole entity, it's just the weirdest thing in the world. And they're asking him about his career. It's as if Alice Cooper and Joe Perry don't exist, and they're just nameless musicians that might as well be in like a Britney Spears band.
That I can't. They can.
You ever see some of these musicians, like Britney Spears guitarist, and like they're really talented, and you just don't know their names, and they're just in the background making noise, and it's like you'll never know who they are. And it's such a weird thing. Those musicians who play with, like Beyonce as guitarists.
Say things that I can't. It could get a bit strange, really. Not really.
Actorul are o carieră de succes de mai bine de 4 decenii. La începutul anilor 90 a devenit cunoscut odată cu interpretarea rolului lui Edward, Mâini de foarfecă. Filmul a marcat și prima colaborare a lui Depp cu regizorul și producătorul american Tim Burton. A urmat apoi musicalul Sweeney Todd. De aplauze.
I'm going to direct a movie in September. It's a biography, well, basically it's 2 days in the life of Amedeo Modigliani. I want to do one of the films that
So you've seen how like if you phonetically pronounce it as an American, it says Modigliani.
Mm-hmm.
His pronunciation is so different than what I thought it was. There's literally like 5 consonants that are silent in the pronunciation. Leave it up to him to. It's almost like he took the movie to pronounce it European, like he wanted to pronounce this thing. Listen to this.
I want to do only the films that of September. It's a biography, well, basically it's 2 days in the life of Amedeo Modigliani. I want to do only the films that mean something, you know, to me.
How do you get that pronunciation out of the way that's written out?
You're smarter than I am. I don't know. Looks
I'm
like he
not
hit it right.
smarter than anybody. It's probably exactly how
I'm
it's
talking about
pronounced.
him, not you. But I think he hit everything right.
I'm sure it's exactly how it's pronounced, but how do you get that out of what a stupid language? The silent consonants. What a stupid language. That whole damn culture. It makes me appreciate English more. I'm not xenophobic at all. Like there's things I hate about America. I absolutely hate about it. I'm almost like an expatriate. There's things I love. At least the English language, every letter has a meaning. There was like 5 silent consonants there. What a stupid ass pronunciation that was. Holy shit.
At least something that I feel like I can add to. To write a song doesn't depend on an entire crew and a bunch of money.
Du Barrie a marcat și covorul a fost
It's back in September. It's
Sara, your cartoon cat Camilla is more charismatic and cuter than the cat in Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
I would rather have Camilla in Alice in the Wonderland than the actual cat that they use.
All right.
The biography, well, basically it's 2 days in the life of Amedeo Modigliani. I want to do one of the films that mean something, you know, to me, or at least something that I feel like I can add to. To write a song doesn't depend on an entire crew and a bunch of money invested into that.
Actorul a avut un mesaj și pentru fanii tineri din România.
Johnny,
By the way,
I know.
Pause. Thank you. Thank you, Laura Marie. Beechy Colclough? That's the guy. I Google image him and that's him. That's his name.
Lauren, how did you find that? What did you do to look that up?
No, she did something we didn't, so.
Okay, let's stop right here. I'm going to pause it right here. We're going to harp on this guy now. Beechy Colclough.
He's a
Robin
celebrity
Colclough?
therapist.
Celebrity therapist.
Okay, okay, hold on before you continue. He is a celebrity therapist who got in trouble for seducing his female patients.
Good God.
The Pirates of the Caribbean star's shamed sidekick was once outed for his affairs with vulnerable women.
And he's bringing him to the Amber Heard trial about abuse. That's
I don't know. I don't know. You ask him.
That's Gunga Din's stripper name. By the way, Sara, it's the same name Gunga Din uses on the runway. Lauren says, I just searched for Depp's entourage and found his name. LOL. That is legitimate LOL. Because I wouldn't even that's such a simple search, and that's what it should be as easy as that. And I would never think to I didn't know what to write in the search. Sara, that is a creepy description you just read. Depp keeps some really shitty, shady, creepy company. If that's true, and I'm sure it is. That's way too detailed to be. What is he doing with this guy?
I don't know.
And here's the thing: is it any coincidence that his name never comes up because they don't want it to come up, right? Because you would be connecting it to that, right? It seems to you go look him up, and that's the first thing you see is that.
That was the first article that came up. Yes.
And what year did the article?
It was during the trial, so last year.
And so, what's the title of the article?
Let me go back to it. I may have closed out. I closed out of it. I'm going to have to look for him again.
All right, we'll take your time. The guitarist from Extreme, Nuno Bettencourt. Are you kidding me, Ben Benjamin? Nuno Bettencourt is playing with Rihanna? Wow. I mean, I guess it's possible that, like, Extreme didn't make that much money, or we thought they did better than they did. Because Extreme was kind of like a bridge band. They, like, in between grunge and heavy metal, they were sort of in that weird period of, like, 89, 90. Rodney writes, I fear Depp is playing Izzy Stradlin 100% of the time now. That's not bad, Rodney. Something like, who knew that Robert Downey Jr.'s Tropic Thunder character was actually a future Depp? Oh, man, that's... Tropic Thunder is an interest. I wish... that's something I would like to see Depp do, by the way. A Tropic Thunder. Well, Tropic Thunder is mainly based on Platoon, isn't it? Like, it's kind of like a sort of a parody of the war movies, and Platoon was a major influence on Tropic Thunder, I feel. Yeah, David, well said. Depp has horrible taste in hangers-on. I couldn't agree more. It's like 3-to-1 ratio of creeps to good guys. It is insane how many of these friends of his, and from Marilyn Manson to Roman Polanski to it's endless. It's impossible to defend. Go ahead, Sarah. You found an article?
No, I'm still looking.
So remember this, Beechy Colclough.
I think it's Daily Mail.
And so he's considered celebrity therapist?
Yes.
That's so bizarre. And he needs him at the trial with his fucking flip-flops. I would rather see Dr. Kipper walking in with him every day. Or Dr. Clipper, as it were. Oh, my God. Thank you, Lauren. That has been driving me batshit crazy for well over a year. And it took Lauren one snap of the Google search to find it. She says, it says that the man backed up after he was accused by Amber Heard because the guy was also falsely accused, he says.
Maybe he was. I don't know.
Yeah, so he's going, these guys who, there was a lot of grifters that tried to start YouTube shows based on this because they felt that they were falsely accused too. I believe that Popcorn Planet guy was one, right?
I think there was screenshots of DMs in that case.
And who's the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean? Oh man, his whole show is based on him claiming to be falsely accused by his ex-wife. Oh man, what is his name again? He was in Pirates, and he was a Depp defender. Greg Ellis. That's it. Remember, he had a show that was completely based on him being falsely accused. No one's guilty. No one's done anything. I got it, guys. Let me see here. Last one. Depp apology. Alice. Okay, this is Alice Cooper talking about his time with Depp. I like Alice Cooper. He seems like a good guy.
Hey, you met, I believe she was 18 years old, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a really horrible comparison, Sarah, when I was watching this before making this. Alice Cooper reminds me of a rock and roll Jeff Van Gundy. If Jeff Van Gundy had a black toupee, he sounds like him. He looks like him in the face.
I don't think he sounds like him at all, but
I'm telling you.
So 18
maybe
years
on the
old, she's
face.
one of your dancers. You guys have been together ever since. But I want to know what you and Cheryl do on a night off in Phoenix, at home, or on a date night.
We have, and we do a date night. At 47 years we've been together, and I still treat her like my girlfriend. Every once in a while, every Tuesday night, I whisk her away to a cheap motel.
I love that.
You remember that guy, Matt?
Raucous laughter there.
They'll laugh at anything he says. That's what Matt Pinfield has built a career on, over laughing at every rock star's joke.
That's the most romantic thing you can do.
Oh my God, I love it.
is so rock and roll too.
That is so rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden that becomes very, wow, But I mean, you in our situation, I think we still pursue each other. I don't take her for granted at all.
Yeah.
And she is such an intricate part of the show. Cheryl in this next show plays a character. She was Mademoiselle Guillotine in the
guys, and Johnny Depp, of course. But what was it like to finally have him back and be doing something that you guys hadn't done for a couple of years?
Well, we hadn't seen each other in 3.5 years, and so I saw him when he was playing with Jeff Beck, and so I went backstage, and I opened the door in his dressing room, and I went, "So, what's new?" The Hollywood Vampires. It started out as when I was doing Dark Shadows with him, the movie. I'd never met Johnny.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that's the origin of these two. So he was in the Dark Shadows, not just soundtrack, but he actually plays. There's a scene, I think it's in the house, where he's just playing randomly. That's the origin of these two.
But I knew he was a guitar player, and we went to do the 100 Club in London. That night, the band was going to jam there. And I told Johnny, I said, "Johnny, why don't you come over and play?" And he shows up and nailed it. And we were talking about the Vampires, and I said, it'd be great to do a little bar band, and just do songs for our dead drunk friends. The next thing, we played a hunt for 100 people one night, and then the next show was 250,000 people at Rock in Rio.
That's great, Alice. Alice, you had told me this great thing when we were on the set of No Cover. I'd asked you.
That's great, Alice.
At the time, I think Elton John had announced he was, retiring. Ozzy was slowing down. I asked you, if that was ever in your future, and you gave a very stern answer. You said something to me that day that I thought was amazing, and that was, "I'm never going to stop."
Well, that's not in my vocabulary to, the word retire. People say, "Why don't you stop and just play golf?" And I go, "I play golf anyways."
Yeah.
I play golf every day, but every if there's a show, I play golf that morning, and then I do the show that night.
I've seen these great pictures of you with the original band.
I respect that answer. How sick of retirement tours are you of bands with their fake retirement tours and they come back again? It's like you say, "Oh, I'm not going to even."
Mhm.
Why even announce it?
It's marketing.
Why?
Mhm.
Just play as you feel. You're looking for either attention or a gimmick, and you're trying to sell cheap tickets by saying you're retiring. I actually like that answer a lot. What the hell did I say? Ronnie. I'm gonna go down to Rodney says these are pitfalls that beset all actors of Depp's ability, getting stuck in characters. Brando playing a fat patriarch of dysfunctional family and became a fat patriarch of a dysfunctional family. Yeah. He if I think Depp's see, I always loved Thompson. If I had to, because Thompson really wrought the Amber Heard stuff, because we would never have had it if it wasn't for Thompson and the Rum Diary. We'd never have any of that stuff. Is Depp's idolatry of Thompson and needing to get the Rum Diary made. I would love to see Thompson watching the trial, right? If he was still alive, how great would it be to have Thompson just watching this trial and critiquing it and telling Depp what he thinks? Because that's a guy who doesn't give a shit, right? So if you're going to empower yourself, there's nobody better than the guy who caused the trial, Hunter S. Thompson. What would Brando, I'm sure Depp's like, what would Brando say to me during this trial? What would Thompson say to me during this trial? He would say, don't give him the satisfaction, right?
Mhm.
Be as defiant as you can be. And if you watch him jousting with Rottenborn, it's right. Isn't that kind of Thompson defiance? Brando insouciant defiance the whole time.
Mhm.
Never letting him see that he's affecting you at all. He was angry. I love that. People he got criticized a lot during, like, "Oh God, stop, no, bullshit. Why should you capitulate if you in your heart know if someone's coming at you like that? Why should you why should you be polite? Who's that going to help? Wouldn't you be angry and bitter and sarcastic if Rottenborn's coming at you like that?
Yeah, of course.
I couldn't have. I'd be worse than he would be. Knowing that this guy's out to and knowing where it all emanates from. And by the way, it's way too much to get into. I was thumbing through the unsealed transcripts, which we have not taken apart the way we should have yet. We're still waiting on that, and we're still playing with our food, as they say. There's some really fascinating things in there. It's actually more fascinating than most of the trial, because when it's unsealed, they don't want you to see this stuff. It's like both sides don't want this stuff submitted, so it's actually juicier than the trial is. And for Depp, some of the stuff is embarrassing. Some of it's embarrassing for Amber Heard. There's some really good stuff. There's a whole thing about Whitney Heard getting interviewed, and she talks about the young, unfortunately, a kid passed away. Amber Heard was the driver, and she got her license suspended. So this is like in Texas. I want to say it's 2002, something like that. And she got her license suspended, and they didn't know what it was about. And a person she worked with as a lifeguard in Texas died behind the wheel, and and so Whitney Heard was drilled about this. And never saw this during the trial. It's fascinating repartee. And she had a deposition 3 months before the trial. And so that's just one of the many things. Another great thing was an exchange between Depp's publicist, Robin Baum, and the National Enquirer. And so there's an email chain going back and forth. And so the National Enquirer is threatening Robin Baum to release information on Depp. And they're going back and forth, and she has to stop it. And so she's writing back to try to placate to them. And it's really, some crazy, crazy shit. Gossip. Some you've heard, some of it you might have heard, but basically it's the National Enquirer threatening Depp's publicist that they're going to release his stuff if they don't play ball. And you never saw that during Fairfax. That's just one of the many things. And again, it's daunting to go through it all. Have you messed with the Fairfax, the unsealed stuff?
No, I'm waiting for you.
That's thanks. I know you don't like to read anymore, right?
Let me know when I have time to do that.
Can't you do it at work?
No, I cannot.
Alice Cooper slide. Look at Johnny Bye-Bye. He's such a pill. He's such a delicious pill. He's such a jagged little pill, as Alanis would say. Alice Cooper slaps around with a free motel USA Today. Did you hear us talk about we brought the USA Today before, me and Burger King in 1993. Cash grabs, Pell. Yes.
Why don't you DoorDash me some Burger King? Thanks.
Are you craving a triple Whopper with G Canada right now?
I want a single Whopper. See, the problem with a Whopper, it tastes like charcoal to me, so I need them to put like a lot of ketchup and mayo on it.
I like that
onion
taste. I think there's nothing smells better than passing a Burger King with the flame broil coming out of the thing, and that to me that's such a great smell. Kathy Scott says shamed therapist accomplishes Johnny Depp to court amid ongoing trial. Is that the title of the article, Kathy? Wow. Huh. I can't wait to dig into this guy's life and world. It's so bizarre he needs that guy. All the people you could bring with him, that's who you choose? Good God. I mean, I think I need to pick his friends. I think that's going to be in addition to my script choosing, offering my services. I think I'm going to choose his friend. I think I'm going to retool his entire friend stable. I think I'm going to change the whole thing around. I'm going to go. Doug Stanhope gets to stay. I like Doug. Doug gets to stay. We'll take Doug and we'll start from there. And we'll kind of retool and revamp his entire stable of weird friends, because some of them, they've got to go. They really do. You remember how your parents would have to approve of your friends sometimes, Sarah, when you were a kid? They were like,
no.
He needs that. They would laugh and Depp you beat your girl. Your parents never had any disapproval of your friends?
No, not really.
Double Whopper with cheese, says Autobot.
No cheese, thanks.
The charred taste
and onion rings
is half the allure, says Ed Rooney.
I don't know.
Chicken fries and onion rings for David, please. I love that David actually looked up Jeff Van Gundy because that'd be great.
Maybe he knew who Jeff Van Gundy was.
Why would you assume that I don't? I would think David doesn't know who.
Because that's what you said.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
I love that he looked him up.
I didn't say that. David, did you know who Jeff Van Gundy was? It was maybe from the Howard feud, or did you look him up? Don't you guys just eat tuna and corn? That's such a Johnny Baba is quoting the remember the Tubi movie?
Mm-hmm.
There was somehow like one of Depp's confessions is that he liked his mom making him a corn and tuna fish sandwich, which is bizarre. And that was in the Tubi movie. I can't believe Johnny Bye-Bye is quoting that. David says, I want Depp to be friends with a stable of Chicago actors like the Cusacks. He is friends with John Cusack, David, believe it or not. John Cusack is a Hunter S. Thompson, another side, what do we call it? Protege. And in the convertible video where they're pulling up in front of the Viper Room, Cusack's in the car, and he actually reads Thompson's work with him. Cusack was the second choice to play Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And he makes a pilgrimage out there, and they've been friends for a long time. Cusack is an interesting guy, by the way. He's like a legitimate like kickboxer, like martial artist, like legitimate. Huge Chicago White Sox fan. Like really like encyclopedic knowledge about baseball. Not in a poser way, like in a legitimate way. Like there's a great paparazzi video of him walking out of a White Sox game. And somebody was yelling at him, "Oh, you're a Cubs fan. What are you doing here?" He's like, "Really?" He's like, "Ask me any White Sox question right now." And he put the guy asked, and he nailed every question. It was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Quick, Sarah, who's hotter, Jeff or Stan Van Gundy?
I might have to go with Stan. Jesus Christ.
I'm in a threesome with the Van Gundy brothers, right?
Kill me.
I must say, I really enjoy both these guys' commentary. I usually, I hate this. There's too many ex-Nick people in the media out there. It's way too many. Like the NBA Finals, it's all ex-Knicks or Nick. It's Mike Breen's the play-by-play guy. Mark Jackson's and the Jeff Van Gundy ex-Nick coach. It's way too many. And you know why? Because ESPN comes out of the tri-state area in New York and Bristol, Connecticut, and they're too lazy to look outside of their own backyard for announcers. Marv Albert was the announcer before Breen. This team that has not done shit anywhere since the 70s, somehow their announcers need to be in the national landscape. There's so many good announcers out there, and you probably know that from Portland. You got a great guy in Kevin Calabro. He's every bit as good as Mike Breen and better. Mike Breen's there's nothing special about him. There's so many good announcers out there, and if you have the league pass, they're just too lazy to look outside the tri-state area. So you got to give us who, Stan or Jeff Van Gundy, Sarah? They're both
Stan.
great. Stan is very entertaining on TNT. He's real good. He really has a passion for the game. I really enjoy listening to him. He reminds me of Matt Foley, Chris Farley's Matt Foley character. He's got that same speech cadence. Kathy Scott says Depp needs to get away from the group he's with. Kathy Scott knows everything about cliques, right? In prison, and she probably gave so much advice about don't hang out with this crowd and stuff. If anyone knows that landscape. Kevin Calabro, yes, initially he was the voice of the Sonics Autobot, and now he stays up in that Pacific Northwest. That's originally, I have some old Sonic games. Autobot, do you have any access to old Sonics games from the Xavier McDaniel years, even after it? Because we need more of them. I have a few myself, but I'm kind of If you know anybody who has any Sonic VHS tapes, please, please, please share, because there's just not enough of them. Yes, but he was the original voice of the Sonics, not the original voice, but he was the voice of the Sonics for years, and a lot of their great years in the 90s. Just phenomenal play-by-play guy. Funny guy, too. Ed Rooney is a painting of Matt Foley, Sarah. So as we play out, I'm going to leave with our happy birthday wishes. And this is Depp in a very odd, almost pompous thing. He's usually pretty modest guy and self-deprecating, but for some reason he sang happy birthday to himself. And I believe,
wink, wink,
it goes something like this.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Johnny. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear John Christopher Depp II. Happy 59th birthday to me and Monty Python and Aquaman.
Sarah, any last words?
You know, we still get comments on that video saying, I don't know, I don't think this is real.
That's the ultimate compliment you can get.
Yeah. No final words, just
like and subscribe, please.
Or again, join us over on patreon.com/WINO4ever. I'm exhausted. Thank you for a good show.
Yeah, to play you out, this is Sarah's version of Happy Birthday.
No, it's not.
And yes, it is. Yes, it is. To play us out, this is our collaboration with the great Kenny Rogers himself. Thank you, everyone. I love you all. We are doing our next Jump Street, and I think you're doing Golden Girls with David on the Patreon. If anybody has any requests, let me know. If you need a video sent to you, whatever. Who was asking me about that the other day? Someone was asking me to send them a video or make a request or whatever. Yeah, believe me, I'm not above it. Anything you want, I'll throw up there. I have no there's no limits as to what I'll within reason. I don't want something too self-indulgent. It's got to permeate the masses. Thank you all. Happy birthday, Johnny Depp. This is actually our first installment because I plan on doing at least another show with an interview if I can get it. So I don't want to make this like this is any closure in this. This is the first installment.
Good evening and welcome to Fox.
I'll stay with you. Together
moving than Susan Hayward's climactic speech, and I want to live.
You're ready to fly right out of here, aren't you?
Hey, this is Dylan, you know the drill.